What is up, everybody, and welcome to CTW Live. I'm your host, Seamus Zarlingo. Alongside of me tonight, Griffin Aldrich. Night 2, Griff, of the 2025 NBA Draft. We were live for 5 hours last night covering the first round. However, now we get to cover the second round in night 2. Now a newly added addition to the NBA calendar. Well, not too new. It's been the last couple of years now, but the second round of the draft on another night from round 1. We will cover the second night tonight here, talking about a lot of players. We'll be able to talk about the first round, the second round as it comes to us, of course. But the Celtics, they're on the clock, not too far from now. Last night we were waiting for the Celtics pick for about what? 2 hours, and tonight we get to wait about 2 minutes. That's what we get to wait for.
No, that's what I was going to say, Seamus. Last night, we waited all night for that to happen. Now we get to wait, like you said, 2 minutes. It's going to be right off the bat. But then after that, we don't have many picks left. No picks.
Well, we don't know. We don't know. This is certainly the night for teams to maneuver around. And I'm already going to tell you right now, the ticker at the bottom, right? You see all the order at the bottom? I already shifted it around twice because of the trades in which went on last night, even before last night. And we're going to see more trades tonight. There are going to be trades we already saw. We were on the Celtics Nation Rise breaking news special for Kristaps Porzingis, and a trade broke right there. It was Phoenix. They were trading up from 41 to 31. Or no. My bad. They traded up to both 41 and 31. And they traded away, I want to say, picks 52 and 59 to the Warriors for pick 41. And then they traded away the 36th overall pick, I want to say. May have been 38th overall pick. We'll bring the news up here on live in a little bit as the second round gets underway here. But Phoenix moved up to number 31. Why that has some relevancy to the Celtics? Because Phoenix now picks ahead of the Celtics. The Celtics were expecting the Timberwolves to pick at that spot. However, the Timberwolves move back now to, again, 36 or 38, and they get a couple of future second-round picks in return. But that has some relevancy to the Celtics because the Celtics pick 32, and you're thinking, well, the Suns, they move up to 31. There's a reason they moved up, right? I mean, they think whoever, and it might not be the Celtics, right? The Suns, they move up from the low 30s to 31. It might be another team they're looking at going, oh, we really like this prospect, but say, the Sixers, the whoever's in front, if we look at the order at the bottom, so Phoenix moves up from, 30, I believe they held 36. So that was Brooklyn's pick, went to Phoenix. Now it's in Minnesota's hands, and Phoenix moves up to 31. Could have been the Celtics, could have been the Hornets, could have been the Sixers, who liked a player in which they like, but we'll see who they pick there at number 31. The Celtics on Tankathon projected to take Cam Jones. The guard rotation for the Celtics, heavy right now. The big man rotation, not so much. I believe we're looking at a big man for the Celtics at pick number 32 here tonight.
Who do you want?
So first off, so the second round, the status on the picks right now, we're not quite underway. Correct, Griffin? Right?
Not yet.
Just getting into draft coverage here. So we're not quite underway. Got to be attentive and alert because the Celtics, they are picking very soon. Very soon.
Who do you want the Celtics to pick with that 32 overall pick?
All right, let's get to my big board here. Let's go look at it. Okay. So
can I say mine really quick?
Go ahead, Griffin. Yeah.
I'm going to say Cockburner. I really think that they should go with a big man at this position, and it's the safest move to do. This is a guy where I feel like he won't have a lot of time in the G League. I feel like they'll kind of throw him into the fire early as they should. The big man depth is very low this year, and I think if you could do this, get Al Horford back, maybe make a move for another big man, you kind of give Xavier Tillman that boot because, we haven't had a lot of success with him. And do you really want Xavier Tillman this year? That's the real question we should be asking. So I like that move for the Boston Celtics, and I really think that they should go with a big man instead of a guard position. And it just makes sense for them to do this. And I feel like the options that they have can help them now. You know what I'm saying? And if not now, in the later parts of this season, I feel like they got to develop them fast because it's alarming. You just traded Porzingis for Georges Niang, and you right now have Nemias Queta and Xavier Tillman at your big man position. So, gotta see what they're gonna do. But what are your thoughts, Seamus?
So first of all, let's get this straight. So the Minnesota Timberwolves are trading the first pick in tonight's NBA draft, number 31, to the Phoenix Suns for number 36 and 2 future second round picks. And the Suns continue to rebuild by moving up to 31 and 41 in the draft. Then they send out picks 36, 52, 59, and 2 future seconds. So the Suns move up in the draft, right? And they're taking Rasheer Fleming at number 31. Rasheer Fleming on my big board right now is the best available. Okay, so in terms of just the best player available, he is the best player in my mind. I'm sure in other people's minds as well, and I'm sure other people disagree. But Rasheer Fleming, he's going at 31, so the Celtics are not drafting him. So let's rule him out right now before we decide. I like Adu Thero. I really do as a wing. He's from Arkansas. Very active, very athletic. Definitely has some questions offensively. Not a creator whatsoever. Handles a mess. You really can't rely on him to handle the ball at all or put the ball on the ground. That's a huge concern for himself, but he does have the other role player intangibles you like to see specifically in a long wing, right? He's pretty long for his size, very athletic, very quick, and I think he's going to be a nice defensive piece for any team who snatches him up here in the early second round potentially. You never know; he could fall farther than that, but I believe somebody's going to snatch him up in the early second round. He was in the range of late first round, early second round. I really like Adu Thero. Again, offensively, a complete mess. Cannot handle the ball. Cannot put it on the floor and ultimately, I believe I have a note on him in here. Yes, I do. So Adu Thero, very athletic, active, and quick, fluid defender, high energy guy, hard driver, rebounder, crasher. Can't create for himself. Shot mechanics, not awful, but he needs better footwork. He needs a better base. And the height of the release on his jump shot. We mentioned this about a couple of guys last night, but it remains true for Adu Thero as well. The height of his release. It's almost like he's driving the ball sometimes, and it's a little too close to his head, right? The height of the release would do him some good, or lengthening that height of the release for a Adu Thero. Furthermore, uh, there is a shooting concern with him. That is a thing. So you look at that and go, well, maybe the Celtics, when there's a shooting concern with a player, which last night the Celtics took Hugo Gonzalez. There's not a huge sample size, so I'm not willing to say, oh, Hugo Gonzalez is not a great shooter, but it's not in his strengths category, right? Hugo Gonzalez, it's not shooting is not necessarily a strength of Hugo Gonzalez, but it's low volume. There's a small sample size. There's really not much work to look at in that regard for shooting for Hugo Gonzalez. But ultimately, with the Thero, there's a much bigger sample size of him not being able to shoot, and maybe that turns the Celtics off. But I do. I like the athletic, active wings who can defend multiple positions. And sometimes I feel like I look a little bit too far past the offense for some of those wings, right? Because I go, oh, their defensive capability. Like, say, guys like Matisse Thybulle, right? It's like, oh, defensively, Matisse Thybulle, phenomenal defensive player, but offensively, doesn't really give you anything on that end of the floor. Can't shoot, can't put the ball on the floor, not a playmaker, is a complete zero, if not a negative. Another guy I liked in the past, Tyler Bay. He was Tyler Bay and Matisse Thybulle back to back Pac-12 Pac-12 defensive player of the years, and RIP the Pac-12. But those guys were back to back Pac-12 defensive player of the years, Matisse Thybulle and Tyler Bay. Tyler Bay, loved him defensively, offensively, kept him out of the league. I mean, basically, nobody knows who Tyler Bay is because, I mean, he never played more than a handful of games in the league. So that offensive end of the floor certainly matters with all these prospects. But defensively, I'm always looking at, what can a guy do on that end of the floor? Because I'm always concerned with it as somebody who can't defend in college. If you can't defend in college, why would you be able to defend in the NBA? It's 10 times harder in the NBA. So that is a turnoff for me anytime a guy can't defend or can't stay in front of his guy or isn't very engaged, active on that end of the floor, doesn't have a high motor. I mean, we talked about that with some of the picks last night, but Adu Thero, defensively, it's all there for him. Offensively, it's a complete mess. That's primarily why he's fallen to the second round here, but the Celtics could draft him with number 32. I like elsewhere, that's a wing, and I understand people are going to say, well, we need a big. We need a big right now. The bigs, in my mind, that I want to see the Celtics potentially partake in, Maxime Reynaud, okay, defensively, and this is somebody who defensively, that is not his calling card. It's the offensive end of the floor. He's a stretch five. He shoots it from deep, very fluid for a 7'2" big man. People compared him to Porzingis in the pre-draft process. I would say he moves better than Porzingis, but he's not as offensively talented and taking advantage of mismatches and shooting at different locations around the floor. Just he's not as talented in that regard as Porzingis is, but I think he's a better driver than Porzingis. I think he's a better driver, but defensively, that's going to be the question for Reynaud. Is he's not a very fluid defender, but he's really long, right? He's a very long player who could come into the NBA and deter some shots around the rim. I mean, we know some players out there, they're not exactly the most athletic big man, but just their size alone makes them, a daunting defensive player and an offensive task for any opponent. And another player that fits into that category is Ryan Kalkbrenner. I feel like he's been the bulk of the conversation on this program.
Yeah.
I and let's get this straight. Ryan Kalkbrenner, he's a St. Louis guy. All right. I believe he's from Spanish Lake, if I'm not mistaken. Might be he's up there on the north side. I'm down here on the south side, but he's a St. Louis guy. All right. So I'm going to root for him in the NBA, regardless. I have questions about Kalkbrenner, just the viability at the next level. He is somebody who fits the category of his size, might just allow him to be an elite defensive player and somebody that can catch balls around the rim, can create some putbacks for teams, and can operate in the short roll, catching lobs, short like not Robert Williams type of lobs, but
No.
you know, he's a big guy, can get up and get different balls in the air, and somebody who is, he has a little touch around the rim. Defensively, I this is always the concern with these big guys. Kalkbrenner is definitely a Luke Cornett type. The thing about Luke Cornett though is he's a little more athletic right now than Kalkbrenner is. And if Kalkbrenner is going to stay in the NBA, he has to get a little bit more athletic on the defensive end of the floor because otherwise teams are just going to go, bring up Kalkbrenner to the perimeter, bring him up high pick and roll right now, right at Kalkbrenner. We're going downhill on him, and we're going to the Kalkbrenner scenario, right, is Kalkbrenner's brought up to the perimeter on the high pick and roll. You drive downhill, you're going to make the defense collapse, or you're going to have a wide open layup. That's the issue with Kalkbrenner is if he's defending an open space or he's defending the high pick and roll. So we have Mark Tatum walk out on stage right now. If he's defending that high pick and roll, is he athletic enough to
Just him announcing it.
stay on the floor and not make those moments a detriment to his team, right? Not giving up points, not giving up points. Can he keep that points per possession low on the high pick and roll possessions in which he's involved in, high atop the key? That's going to be key for Kalkbrenner's, keeping those points per possession low for his opponents when he's in that action in the NBA. So that's my concern with Kalkbrenner. There's no evidence that that's going to happen. So one can look at him and say there's upside elsewhere, but there's another side in saying, well, if this doesn't develop, like this is why some of these guys are falling to the second round. It's if this doesn't develop in their games, I like there are guys where if things are really theoretical, right? It's like, ooh, that's a little bit of a sometimes that never comes around, right? If something's very theoretical with a guy coming from overseas or college, sometimes those kind of theoretical items within a player's game never come around, right? And it's a problem, right? Because if it doesn't exist, right, you're banking on something that doesn't exist appearing out of thin air, right? Or that being developed within a player inside an organization. And that's also another part of the conversation with all these players is just, you know, the organization in which they fall to matters. Last night I watched Neat Clifford drafted by the Kings, and I'm going, oh, I really like Neat Clifford, but I'm not confident the Kings are going to mold him into the player he can truly become in the NBA.
Yep.
That's the issue. Same with Joan Behringer. Now, Joan Behringer, funny enough, you have two Frenchmen as your top two bigs if you're the Timberwolves going into next season. Your number 17 pick in Behringer and Rudy Gobert. Now we'll see if they can retain Naz Reid or not. Doesn't seem like they're going to be able to, but we'll we'll keep an eye on that regardless. Tells me Joan Behringer at 17, they draft him there. Maybe they know Naz Reid out the door. Just saying with the Timberwolves. But that's another organization where I go, ooh, the development of players not always been great there. You have a guy coming from overseas. The transition from the overseas style of play to the NBA style of play can sometimes be a little rough for players, and it takes some time. And I just don't know if Minnesota is the best organization to develop Joan Behringer. I'm not certain. But I noticed here we have two. Griffin, how many minutes do we have left on the clock on
2
your
minutes
end?
and 10 seconds.
All right, I'm at 2:05. Or well, actually, right now I'm at 2:01. Two.
2-1.
So
Yeah,
we're about 3 seconds apart. We're about
all right,
3 seconds
we'll
apart.
go,
But
we'll go with
but
mine.
no, we're going with yours. Yeah, we're going with yours.
Uh,
You have the more reliable setup because yours worked last night. But this is going to be Rasheer Fleming at number 31 here. So no surprises for the first pick. The second pick, however, we are on. I didn't bring this out for Hugo Gonzalez last night, but they're not a draft hat, but here, basically a draft hat. It's the same thing.
pretty much.
What do you think about the draft hats, though?
I'm not a big fan on the ones this year. I feel like, I like the ones with like Marcus Smart and Jason Tatum. I feel like they were more creative now, like with the just like the little cursive and very plain hats. I'm not a big fan of them this year. I will say the one thing I don't like is how on the stage they're presented with the original one. Like, just like if you make a trade for a pick, then just do that. Like, don't put like, what was it with I can't think. Several players though last night. Like, they made a trade for that pick and they would go grab the hat and it would be the team that originally had the pick. Like, just give them the
No,
pick.
I had about a million texts about, whoa, the Rockets got Malawach, and
I
then
know.
the next text was always, oh wait, never mind.
Yeah.
And like seriously, because yeah, last night everybody's thinking, oh my goodness, the Rockets secured Malawach. That's insane. No, that they have Kevin Durant. That pick went to Phoenix,
Yeah,
and
so that's why they just need to they need to fix that, because that's the only like downside to it. And I feel like if they fix that, then all right, whatever. The hats, they're weird looking, but I don't care. Like, just fix that, please. Like, that's like it just makes no sense. It's gonna throw people off for one. It's gonna throw people off for one. For two, it's just like a lot of people won't even know. But the pick is in. Oh, here we go.
With the 31st pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the Minnesota Timberwolves select Rasheer Fleming from St. Joseph's University.
I like Rasheer Fleming. I gotta say,
I do too. I'm
I
a
just
big
realized
fan.
lost
I
my
will
draft notes here.
for this, I will say it threw me off because Adam Silver isn't. No, I know, obviously, with the second round, it's him, but like, I'm so used to hearing Adam Silver from last night. It was like, whoa, that's a little,
It's now Mark Tatum. Mark
Yep.
Tatum. I was wondering that earlier today. I was going, is Mark Tatum going to call the second
Yeah.
round? Is he still?
I remember
doing
it
that?
from the infamous Bronny draft pick. You guys all remember that, Mark Tatum with that.
Oh my goodness. That I mean, the Bronny James thing. I'm glad we weren't streaming for that
You know,
because
you know what?
I have a heavily worded. I don't know if you heavily phrased article about Bronny James and that whole situation last year.
Yeah, can I
Crazy stuff.
Can I say one thing I
Crazy
do
stuff.
like? I don't know if they did this last year too, though, but I like with the second round how the players that are still there are still walking out on stage and just got a picture with Mark Tatum, because I like that, because I feel like last year it's all been like online. I don't know if they changed it up this year. I don't know if it's like ever been this way, but here we go. The Celtics pick, but give us the notes right there.
Okay, so Rasheer Fleming, first of all. So the numbers immediately suggest he's an all-around player who likely doesn't handle the ball much. He averaged 14.7 points per game, 8.5 rebounds per game, and 1.5 assists per game, and 1.4 steals and 1.5 blocks. So the defensive end of the floor, you look at Rasheer Fleming on that end, definitely gets after it there. And his splits, he's 39% three-point shooter, 53.1% from the field, 74.3% free throw shooter, and he's shooting a true shooting percentage of 63.8%. Rebounding is a strength with Rasheer Fleming. Great length for his size, really long arms. Another long arm player in this draft. We have a ton of them. We have absolutely a ton of them in this draft. Draws comparisons to Aaron Gordon.
The Celtics, the pick is in. Just like,
but okay, well let's go in on that. Let's go in on that. Who do you like here, Griffin?
we just traded our pick to Orlando, I think.
Time out.
I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
I just saw a text.
All right, breaking. Shams Charania. The Boston Celtics are trading number 32 to the Orlando Magic for numbers 46 and 57 and a 2026 second rounder, as well as a 2027 second rounder. So the Celtics trading away number 32 for picks number 46, number 57 tonight, and then 2 future second round picks in 2026 and 2027.
Oh,
wow. Okay, well, I wonder if we were going to go Fleming right there, and we went, nope, never mind, and trade it back. Or you look at the picks, I kind of look at it and go,
I'm
that's
not
a pretty good haul. Like 26, 27
totally.
second rounders and
totally. That's going to help us in the long run. However,
2 more picks tonight.
Yeah.
So,
but I wonder if we're going to trade both of those picks to get a little further up in tonight's draft. I wonder if we might do that, because we're going to keep the 2 second rounders, but I wonder if we're going to use both of these tonight to get further up. I think
why would we do that? What do you mean?
Trade both of them for
wait. Why would we just traded away the 32nd pick? Why would we attain these picks to then move up? You could move up to say like 38 or 40 if you're we really like this player here.
You find something. That's what I'm saying. Like, maybe is there that potential? But I think this helps because you're getting future second round picks too, and I like that. So, but 15 seconds till we hear who is going.
Well, it's going to be it's going to say Boston Celtics select. So
yeah. All right, here we go.
Mark Tatum is at the podium
with the 32nd pick in the 2025 NBA draft. The Boston Celtics select Noah Penda from Bondy, France, and Francis Lemont.
And this pick is going to the Orlando Magic, folks. So this is not the Boston Celtics pick.
It glitched for a second. I got scared there, Seamus.
You just gotta keep the faith, all right? You gotta keep the faith that it's gonna work.
So the 2 big men still out there. So I don't think they will fall as far to the Celtics because they're the next best option on the draft, and they're the best big men. Do you think they fall to the Celtics? There's no way. I'm going to say there's no way.
I don't even know. I don't think the Celtics really like do the Celtics really like anybody right now? Okay.
I like this one. Do you agree with this? Maybe Tyrese Proctor, but I don't know.
Well, I'm thinking, okay, everybody's big board is different. For example, last night we were talking about players who I had ranked near the 30s who went near the top 10, and then vice versa. I mean, we have that every single year. Everybody's evaluation system for players is different. And you look at the draft every year, it gets to a crapshoot at a certain point in time, especially in the second round. And we're at a point in the draft where, yes, we're discussing guys who maybe should have gone in the first round or could have gone in the first round and are in that more upper tier players. But when you get to this point in the draft, there are a lot of players who you might value at, say, oh, we like this player at 32. Like, say, for the Celtics, right? We like this player at 32, but the rest of the league has him ranked in the 60s. Well, we can move back to the 40s and still get him because everybody else has him ranked in the 60s. And you don't know everybody's ranking, but every team knows some level of intel on every single team, and they try to mine information out of other franchises and organizations to gauge what the interest level is on certain players. So it's possible the Celtics liked somebody there at 32 that the rest of the league looked at as, oh, well, this guy should be in the 60s or 70s. I mean, obviously there's no 70s, but if you were ranking them on a board, right? This guy is in the 60s, 70s, or even beyond that. It's possible the Celtics go, well, we can move back to 46 or even in the 50s and still get that guy. Not exciting for this. I will say the offseason so far, what we have to, and I've been saying this time and time again, okay, since the Porzingis trade, essentially, this offseason is about asset accumulation for the Celtics, okay, and the retainment of flexibility. I've said that a million times, but I'm going to reiterate it again because unfortunately we're seeing it transpire here in the second round in a spot that, right, the second round is not that interesting to the casual fan base out there, and when you move back it's even less so. But the Celtics, it's about asset accumulation this summer. They are not installing the championship pieces this summer. The Celtics are rearranging the pieces to attain the flexibility in order to install those pieces yet again further on down the line. And so far, the acquisitions this summer tell you that, and they continue to tell you that. And moving back in the second round is not necessarily a telegraph for that. It was more so the Porzingis and Holiday moves. But right now, I can't imagine the Celtics fan base I can't imagine the Celtics fan base is enjoying the summer right now at all, in terms of the team, right? And the team moves. Simons was the first move, and we were going, nice move. Nice, like we were in on that. Porzingis and this now move down. To me, I understand what the Celtics are doing, but to the general fan base, it's not going to come across as something that is exciting, something they can take home. It's tangible, like we said earlier, something you can put on a pole outside of TD Garden, right? Put on a banner outside of TD Garden. It's not going to be something you can advertise to fans and say, wow, this is exciting. That comes in the future with these are the moves that matter. I will say in the long run, it's the little marginal moves that just stack up over time into, like 2 years ago, us getting Porzingis and Holiday. Right now, we're in the retooling phase. We're in that 2021 phase yet again, where we have to accumulate assets. We've accumulated quite a few second round picks in these last couple of deals in the last few days. That's great, but furthermore, the financial alleviation of Porzingis's deal and Holiday's deal, and now the Celtics getting under the second apron, that was huge. However, Franco, welcome to the program here tonight. Are you in the same location? That's nice.
You hear that? Rocco is coming.
At number 46 now?
Yes, he is.
Well, no, this is a perfect example because I was on here talking about, well, maybe the Celtics liked a guy at 32. They felt as if, well, he's ranked in the 60s and the 70s for other teams. Teams aren't going to touch this guy in the second round. We can just move on back and still get him. Rocco Zakarski could be a name like that, and I noticed the pick is coming in here, Griffin.
Time to get it back to Deputy Commissioner Mark Tatum with the pick.
With the 33rd pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the Charlotte Hornets select Sean James from Duke University.
So
Another
home state,
Another
home state
forward.
for the college. So
Two
Duke.
best
So
centers
what?
still on the board.
So Duke. Okay, so let's run this down for everybody. So Duke, they're in Durham, North Carolina. The Charlotte Hornets in Charlotte, North Carolina. They take Con Knipple and Sion James, and then Cooper Flagg. He's in Dallas and Malawach in Phoenix. But the Hornets in North Carolina get two North Carolina guys, or rather two Duke guys, right?
And that's it. Tyrese Proctor's still on the board too. So like, you never know.
No, the Hornets actually pick next as well.
Yeah, so that's
So
gonna be an interesting one.
imagine that: Tyrese Proctor, Con Knipple, Zion James,
The
and they
Charlotte
just,
Blue Devils.
right? They just run it back. They're like, hey, if they made the Final Four and at the collegiate level, we can make the Final Four of the NBA, right? Conference Finals. I mean, that's how it works,
ideal.
right?
Well, Seamus, can I add on to your take that you said earlier? Or do you have something?
No, go ahead.
No, I agree with what you said with the Boston Celtics and retooling. And I have to say this about that is and I said this earlier, and I sound like a broken record from how many times I've been saying this, but it's the fact of competing when Jason Tatum comes back. If you saw a rebuild for the Boston Celtics, they would have traded Jaylen Brown already. They would have traded Derek White, and you would have got picks and set yourself up for next year to be in the draft or to rebuild for the future. However, like you said, it's a retool. It's for being competitive when Jason Tatum is back on the roster. And I think that's the thing that Brad has done so greatly. You know, I remember when Malcolm Brogdon was in, and it was just the fact of making this team that can compete. And it took steps, you know, and I feel like in 22, they had the steps down, right? When you go to the finals, and it's like, all right, well, what can we build up to get? And you saw the
Charlotte doesn't know
Celtics.
who to take.
I know.
Wait, what?
It's like they're like 45 seconds in. Oh no, it's a Taco Bell ad.
So, well,
But it's
go
just
ahead, Griffin.
that, yeah, it's just the fact that you
How
look
many
at
Taco Bell ads for real are we gonna get tonight?
facts.
Sorry,
Dude,
Griffin.
No,
I'm
no.
just-
Wanna know what? Taco Bell should do a sponsored second round player of the year award.
They should. No, yeah, that would be a good idea. I think it would. Also, misleading advertisement. The OKC Thunder championship. No, I shouldn't even bring this up. Their championship shirts. Why was the gold on the top different than the gold on the trophy? That just like it's one of those things where you match navy blue with black. And you're like, oh, it doesn't look quite right. But on the commercial, it's the same gold. Anyway, that has nothing to do with the second round. But anyway, I want to bring a rock over to Carson because my phone's about to die. All right, folks. Now.
Oh.
But anyway, Rocco
Okay.
Zakarski. All right, I think he could be a player that. Just saying. I mean, he plays over in the NBL over there in Australia, and he is kind of is he at 55? Should he be in the 30s? He's a player that you could find and again, you could find him in the 50, 60, 70 range of rankings, or you could find him in the 20, 30 range of rankings for some teams. And you never know. That could be a guy in which the Celtics look at and go, we like him, and we can move back to go get him. And secondarily, he's playing overseas. They have the flexibility. I understand. Oh, Hugo Gonzalez, he's going to come from overseas and play in Boston this season. And even potentially if Rocco Zakarski were to be drafted by the Celtics, it's possible they draft and stash those players, right? I understand Brad saying, oh, we want him to play over here this season, but we talked about it last night. If Hugo Gonzalez is going to be in Maine all season, what's the point? what exactly is the point other than bringing him back to the NBA play style? But to me, I would rather him play in professional environments than the G League. Although
I
that's
mean,
that's professional too,
yeah, and I'm gonna
and he
say
might
this,
get more minutes in the G League if you're
right?
saying
But
that.
yeah, and I think that like him, one of these players playing in the G League, this is a credit to the main Celtics organization. Their development is top tier in the NBA. It has to be, from what type of product they are able to produce down there and bring in during the summer to play in training camp. I think that the one of the best places. Oh, Ryan. Oh, are we gonna break some news?
Let's do
Or
it.
did I'm making sure you guys all saw the pick.
Wait,
So
yeah.
per Jake Fisher,
Yeah. Rest. The picks for some reason the picks are already up on my screen. I'm just making sure you guys saw it. Yeah.
but
I don't
per
want to
Jake
spoil
Fisher,
it.
while the Hornets originally intended to trade one of their two picks in the second round, so pick number
Here we
30,
go.
33 and 34. This is
Sorry.
With the
Sorry,
34th
Justin.
in the 2025 NBA Draft, the Charlotte Hornets select Ryan Kalkbrenner from Creighton University.
Wow.
Sorry, Justin.
St. Louis guy. St. Louis guy. Congratulations to Ryan Kalkbrenner on making the NBA. Not an easy task, but also not an easy task to stay in the NBA either. Let's see. So
And he's going
that's
to a position. The Charlotte Hornets are now pretty. Don't have that much big man depth. After getting rid of Mark Williams, who's their centers right now? Yusuf Nurkic and
they don't have
do
big
they have any?
guys.
Yeah, who are their who are
Well,
the
let's go to
Hornets
their
centers right
salary
now?
sheet. Let's go to their salary sheet.
I believe it's Nurkic and Kalkbrenner could be getting minutes. I mean, obviously with the Charlotte Hornets, how much we've seen them struggle, and the opportunities are going to stand there in Charlotte. So
It's
there's a
just
potential.
Nurkic.
Yeah. So yeah,
And you can count. Actually, no.
no
Yeah, it's basically just Nurkic. You could say Diabate is a
Diabate.
center. Yeah, but like
Yep.
that gets into the same conversation as what the Hawks had before they traded for Porzingis. It was Onyeka
Onyeka,
Okongwu and a guy who made $2.2 million, who's likely not playing bulk minutes in your rotation.
Dominic Barlow,
So
I think, or Mohamed Goye.
yeah, Gueye, which I think his last name might be Gay. I think it might be Mo, because they got on the broadcast they're like Mo Gay. Like I just remember that continuously, but his name looks like Gueye, so
Yeah.
I don't know. But anyway, Kalkbrenner to the Hornets. We went over Kalkbrenner to start this program, and we'll go over him again. He's a Luke Cornett type of big. Now, he doesn't have the same personality as Luke Cornett whatsoever. He's a very monotone, not showing a lot of motion type of player. Sometimes you like that in the locker room. Sometimes you like that in a player. Look at Kawhi Leonard. I mean, he just goes to work every single day and does his business and doesn't cause commotion through the entire locker room. Sometimes you like those guys in your locker room, the yes sir type of guys. The I'm doing everything I can to win this game no matter what coach or the team needs me to do. That's Kalkbrenner, right? His personality is not like Luke Cornett's, where Luke Cornett, he might be like that inside, right, for the team, but ultimately Luke Cornett's a little more fun, a little more fluffy in the locker room, right? Still a worker, still a serious player. Luke Cornett is, but a little bit more fun, a little fluffy, very comedic. Luke Cornett is. Kalkbrenner is not that from a personality standpoint. That's the difference between them. But how they play and how they operate in the game, Luke Cornett more athletic than Ryan Kalkbrenner in my mind. But they have similar builds and similar play styles nowadays. Now, Luke Cornett came into the league as a stretch five. Kalkbrenner is not going to be a stretch five. He's more of a low post, short roll type of big, and he's just a big body, right? He's just a big body who's going to come up with putback attempts. I mean, he's going to be able to rebound the basketball. He's going to be able to deter shots. But the biggest question with Kalkbrenner, which we brought up earlier, but we'll bring it up here again, is his ability to defend in the high pick and roll when teams inevitably run that against him in the NBA. Because when he's out on the floor, is he athletic enough is his footwork, is his foot speed quick enough to defend in the high pick and roll? And right now, there's no guarantee that that happens, right? Teams want to bring him up high to the perimeter, bring him away from the basket, bring his big body away from the basket. They want to go downhill on him. They either want to go right around him, get an open layup, or they want to crash the defense, force the help to come over, and bam, spray out for open threes. That's going to be the question, whether or not Kalkbrenner can stay on the floor when teams run that action against him. And the key for Kalkbrenner is going to be keeping that points per possession low for his opponents when he's involved in the high pick and roll action on the defensive end of the floor. So right now, Kalkbrenner, in my mind, I think there's upside when it comes to that, because we saw Luke Cornett. I mean, look at where Luke Cornett was just a couple seasons ago with the Celtics versus where he is now. I mean, if a player really takes his development seriously and he's really in the gym working every single day to get a little bit more athletic, a little more quick, to get in better shape, and to read certain looks in which are going to come at him in the real game,
Can I
there's
read into
definitely
this
upside
deeper?
for a player like Kalkbrenner.
Can I read into this deeper? I think that the Celtics passing up on Kalkbrenner at 32, because obviously they traded out of the pick. If they wanted Kalkbrenner, they would have taken him right then and there. That raises concerns of if that means they're intending of moving away from a player like Luke Cornett, or if they're planning on bringing back Luke Cornett at a price.
Well,
I'm
you have to think
thinking
it
that
points
it's
more
just
towards the bringing back, right?
right.
If you're passing up on centers at 32.
I think that maybe they're looking for a different type of center, because I feel like
Well,
they're
that's
looking
true too.
for. Oh, well, I'm pretty far ahead on the draft, but the Philadelphia pick is in, and it might upset some Celtics fans.
Well, let's see who it is. I'm not concerned.
No, you
might-
know
I
what
know who-
Celtics fans.
Yeah, I didn't realize.
We'll address their concerns.
With the 35th pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the Philadelphia 76ers select Janai Broome from Auburn University.
Oh no!
I was waiting to see Griffin's reaction.
Why?
What do you think, Griffin? We'll go to you first on this one.
No, you guys come back to me.
No.
Nope.
You're right on
Janai
point.
Broome.
I'm a bit. I do like Broome. I feel like he's a little older, like Baylor Shireman. So, obviously, I feel like he's one of those players that his future in the NBA is very questionable, for sure. But that's one of the players that I could see. Like, I was like, oh, well, Celtics getting 2 picks. I mean, he could be an option then. But no, I feel like Brad knows what he's doing later in the draft. But it's all good.
Well, what is this?
This is my version of Danny Wolf for Franco, though. This is definitely.
But I don't feel like you're taking it as.
No,
hard.
I'm okay with it. I don't care.
But Danny Wolf, I just whatever. We'll be talking about it next year when we do our season review, and Danny Broome is having a double-digit season. But
can I say really quick, Franco?
No.
I see with Johnny Broome though, his future in the NBA is so questionable, because it's like, all right, this could be a pick where later on down the road you're like, oh, Johnny Broome, could have went earlier in the draft, but he's a player where a lot of people think that, all right, you look at this and it's like, oh, he might just be a G League stud. You never know, but
right.
I really don't know with Johnny Broome.
When I look at Johnny Broome, I think that this is a great situation for him in Philadelphia behind Joel Embiid. I think that that's a good fit for a scheme-wise if he is going to translate over from his college days to the NBA, but he's one of the more media-driven players. not to call him overrated, but the
No,
March Madness
yeah.
advertising really kind of sets him over a standard and is just a name that people have heard before and read on a TV. So it implicitly makes them a good selection and like a person to consider for as a Celtics fan, even if you watched a little bit of March Madness. But I just see the faults in his game. I think he can become he's like a very Markeith Marcus Morris type of
Player.
center, or kind of reminded me of a bigger Grant Williams type of player or something of that type of sense. But
Totally.
I think that him in Philadelphia, him coming off the bench there is honestly a situation where I can see him actually being able to thrive because of the fact that they are in desperate need of a power forward because of the uncertainty of Paul George and also the just lack of depth they have because of how far screwed up the ass they are with the second apron.
Here we go. This is
With the 36th pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the Brooklyn Nets select Adu Thero from the University of Arkansas.
Player we wanted.
This pick is going to Minnesota, by the way.
Minnesota.
So it went from Brooklyn to Phoenix to Minnesota. And it will be Adu Thero. And he's somebody we talked about a lot at the beginning of this broadcast. Remember Griffin, Adu Thero?
Yeah.
A lot of offensive concerns, can't handle the ball at all. I can't put it on the floor. Shooting is an issue. Good shot mechanics, but it would really help him if he lengthened the height on his shot, right? He did that, and he came up with some better footwork and the base on his shot. Not always the best in Adu Thero. So definitely some offensive concerns for him, and that's why he fell to the second round, because I saw him defensively as just as talented as some of the forwards, such as Cedric Coward and Asingay and not Colin Murray Boyles. Colin Murray Boyles is just another level of defender. I absolutely love that pick for the Raptors. But he was in that mid-tier of forwards, right? Even with Rasheer Fleming, where I felt like, okay, this man is very, very talented defensively, very, very athletic, very quick, very active, very fluid on the defensive end of the floor. But the offense is just there are legitimate concerns on the offensive end of the floor. Now he's a good cutter, he's a good finisher, but everything else, right? He creating with the ball in his hands, shooting the basketball from deep. That's an issue for Adu Thero. However, if you look at what the NBA is now morphed into, right? There's a lot of transition game. The transition game, there's a lot of transition game going on. Teams want to play in transition, right? Adu Thero is going to help that for any team if he's coming off of a bench. Now the offense, again, major concerns there.
Thero's going to the
defensively, he's
Lakers.
just as talented as guys like Carter Bryant and
they're going to
Cedric
the
Coward. I think might be better. Might be a little bit better defensively.
Adu Thero's a Laker.
Yep.
Okay, right. So this pick went from Brooklyn to Phoenix to Minnesota to the Lakers. Okay, right.
Figure it out, NBA.
I was like, okay, because I was sitting here thinking, I'm like, what pick just got traded? I'm like, wait, what pick? And I'm like, Minnesota. I'm like, when is Minnesota up? And I'm like, oh, right, we just had the Minnesota pick. It was via Brooklyn.
Again, it doesn't help that they have Minnesota's pick and then they give them the hat after. Like, come on. Like,
but I said this at the beginning of this broadcast. I went, tonight is the night where there are going to be trades all across the board, and the ticker down below is going to change a million times with the order in which it already has.
So Justin brought to our attention in the Celtics Talk Weekly group chat, pointing out a tweet from Celtics Unite. 6 second-round picks. Hauser, Niang, Simmons, Brad Stevens might be preparing for a big move.
No.
I think that I don't think it's going to be a big move. I think that they're like I continue to say. I think that it's just getting these asset players that you can fill in, and you can have 10 to 12 players on this roster that you feel comfortable throwing into your lineup and having them play 15, 20 minutes and be able to contribute to a win. But I think that I just don't see a big move in the future, especially after all the work they did to get under the second apron. I don't see them just going right back into it. Oh, we have our first draft pick that isn't said on air and is replaced by an advertisement coming up.
And what is that going to be for us?
Well, I'll wait for you guys to read it.
I'll wait, and I'll put it up in a second.
But yeah, the Jason Kelsey is being shown during this player from that is now a Detroit Piston.
Coach
Okay,
H
so-
right here. Like,
All right, number 37. All right, I'm gonna announce this,
yeah, we won't play it.
All right. folks.
Wait,
Wait,
hold on. Wait, should I play it? Should I play the sound?
No, wait, we're here.
I mean, just I don't know.
We're
Do
already.
you want to? All right, whatever. With the 37th pick in the 2025 NBA draft, the Detroit Pistons select Chaz Lanier out of Tennessee.
Guard. Yeah,
Guard, Tennessee.
I don't know
Okay.
too. Oh, Rocco Zakarski has now officially made it into the best available.
Uh-oh. Franco is on high alert now. He's on high alert.
My two guys are in the best available right now. Cam Jones and Rocco Zakarski.
Well, Chaz
Because-
Lanier. Go ahead, Franco.
Because now the Celtics have 2 picks, so now I have hope to get both of those guys.
Chaz Lanier, he's one of those players I question, what are you at the next level, right? Are you a guard? Are you a forward? What are you more suited as, right? And for me, the question, like Hugo Gonzalez, I'm not as concerned with that question because he's 6'8", okay? Chaz Lanier is a little smaller, so I question, is he, too small to be a versatile forward in the NBA, or is he, if he's not quick enough and he doesn't have enough creation skills to be in the backcourt in the NBA, is he a little bit too small to play the 3? So that's what I wonder with Chaz Lanier, but he's a competitor. He went to Tennessee, and Tennessee was very good in the SEC last year. And I think this pick, for me, I think he probably had great interviews, and he's certainly a guy that in the locker room, I'm sure players enjoyed playing with him. But secondarily too, this must be mentioned as they're showing it on the broadcast. I mean, yes, one of the best shooters in college basketball. That's certainly a strength of his. But it's just like, where do you really slot him into the lineup? Is he a shooting guard? Is he playing the 2? Is he playing the 3? Where he can really slot him in? Does he have enough creation skills?
San
He's a
Antonio
really good
pick is
shooter. But
coming up. Oh,
Hold on.
Okay.
Cam Jones. Don't.
just say it if it's the
Just
second
play
round.
play the noise.
All right,
Play it.
we'll give it a second.
Wow.
At
Yeah.
least the All right.
Don't be spoiling for me. Dun, 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 dun. You guys are like starstruck. Is this big? All right, here we go.
With the 38th pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the San Antonio Spurs select Cam Jones from Marquette University.
Oh. Well, I mean, we didn't need him. That's what we said last night, right?
Just
Well,
look
we
at
didn't
his
say that on the
tape.
broadcast, right?
Look at his tape.
I actually have notes on him. I have some notes. Let's see. Cam Jones. Oh, here it is. Cam Jones. Improved at, well, first of all, he's coming out off of his senior season, so a little bit older of a player here in Cam Jones. That's always, a turn off to teams. They'd rather take the 19-year-old than the 23-year-old. But here we go. Cam Jones improved as a slasher and a playmaker in his senior season. Not very explosive, doesn't stand out as a quick burst downhill attacker, very much plays methodically and at his own pace with the ball in his hands. Transition to a lead guard role with Tyler Kolek moving on to the NBA for Marquette. So, Cam Jones out of Marquette, Tyler Kolek with the New York Knicks there on the bench while they're beating the Celtics ass in the semifinals. But Tyler Kolek, he exits Marquette. Cam Jones becomes the lead main ball handler there. He doubled his assist number in his senior season from his junior season. His assist to turnover ratio, very, very good. Low turnovers, high assists. That's always great to see within a guard, being able to take care of the ball. Very comfortable creating his own shot, although questions lurk on his quickness, physicality, and validity of the process in creating those shots. It looked good at the college level, but will he have some of the same opportunities and angles in the NBA is a question. Otherwise, he's not incapable of creating his own shot. That's the bottom line with Cam Jones. But he's an extremely streaky, if not downright bad, 3-point shooter. And that was as the main guy at Marquette. Not extremely athletic. Shot 38.3% from three in years 1 through 3, but shot 31% from three in year 4. So the shooting as a lead point guard, right, was not good. That's an issue. But when he wasn't the lead point guard, he was shooting nearly 40% from three. So you have those two data sets right there. That one can determine well, how will this go in the NBA? Ball handling responsibilities changed. I have a question. Will Jones fit better as an off-ball shooting guard in the NBA potentially than an actual creator? Questions
what I
exist
thought.
on the lineup size if Cam Jones plays at the 2 as a lesser shooter off the dribble.
That's what I saw
So-
him as. And I
so
thought
that-
he would be
yeah.
a player to match in the Celtics bench, but the second player that is probably should be higher up on list than Kobe Jones is Tyrese Proctor as the next prospect on the list. If you're looking at guards or another player to add who's best available right now, but obviously I think that going center at some point so you stop playing at the game of chicken with teams on when your guy is gonna be taken off the board or not.
Well, I'm just, if we look back at the Celtics transactions, I'm sitting here going, the Celtics kind of got a haul with that number 32 pick. Like, you got a future 2026 second rounder, you got a future 2027 second rounder. Now we have no idea who those second rounders are coming from or what the position of the draft will look like when they actually come to fruition. But you get 2 future second round picks if you're the Celtics, plus you get 2 picks in tonight's draft later on in time. That's essentially 4 players, 4 assets for 1 asset. And it's all second round picks going one way or another. But if you don't like a guy at 32 I should say, out of the players who are definitively going to go within the 30s or 40s, right? If you don't like any of those players and you're thinking, well, the guy we really like is probably going to go in the high 40s or the 50s, or people have him ranked even higher than that,
Toronto
maybe you
just
go back
drafted.
and make the move. Just saying, that's basically 4 players, 4
Yeah, and it's not
assets
like
for
the
1
Celtics
asset.
can't
That's
trade
pretty
back
good.
up if the Celtics can trade up if the guy is like now being drafted, because we've seen players swap teams consistently throughout this draft. But yeah, the Raptors pick was just made, so it should be.
With the 39th pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the Toronto Raptors select Elijah Martin from the University of Florida.
I like Elijah Martin. Elijah Martin, to me, he's a winner. Okay, he made the Final Four with Florida Atlantic. He made the Final Four with the Florida Gators and even won the national championship with the Florida Gators. Florida man, going up to Ontario, Canada, and Toronto. It's not going to be as warm up there, not as humid up
Murray
there.
Boyles
But
and Elijah Martin. Good draft for the Raptors.
He's a competitor. He is just a straight line competitor. He's going to come in and compete. He's a defensive menace. Questions definitely exist on his his level of creation on the offensive end of the floor. Can he be a consistent enough shooter? You know, he's a very tough physical player. He's going to be able to drive the ball in the NBA with great strength and force. But again, the creation, that's definitely a concern. But I'm not concerned about the defense and the competitiveness from Elijah Martin. I like taking a flyer here on Elijah Martin. If you're Toronto at what pick number? Are we at 39? Is this pick number 39? Correct.
Yep.
So yeah, Colin
We're on
Murray
to-
Boyles and Elijah
we're on
Martin.
to pick-
I love the Raptors draft. I gotta say, I mean, both those players, they picked two players that I'm
Can I
I'm
say
in on. Hey, Masai
Colin
Ujiri,
Boyles?
some
That-
points. All right, I've been sus about Masai Ujiri. Everybody, basically was immortalized in Toronto lore by trading for Kawhi Leonard for that one season, right? And expiring Kawhi Leonard for that one season. The Raptors win the title, and then Masai Ujiri is immortalized for a crazy move. And after that, all the moves of the Raptors very, very questionable. Yet tonight's draft, or rather last two nights, I mean the 2025 NBA draft so far, Colin Murray Boyles, Elijah Martin, Masai Ujiri. Well, point. Okay, well we have to give credit where credit's due. I've been on him for the last couple of years, but I gotta praise him now because I think those are two good picks. I also want to say something about the hats, Griffin, because we were talking about this earlier. The hats, they need a little bit more color. All right, on the top. I like the cursive. They need a little bit more color and a logo. That's all I'm saying. I'm noticing that on Elijah Martin's hat. I mean, all the hats look the same. But anyway, just wanted to give out that tidbit. Yeah, can we do those hats? Can we do those hats? Here, I was all ready for pick number 32 here, the Celtics. Not the official draft hat, but then you got the NBA, the Isaiah Austin hat, right? Picked by here, wait. What's the always gotta put on the hat that doesn't fit, right? What does your shirt say, Franco?
Frank. Yeah, this is Cape Cod's radio station, Frank FM. I'm Franco on Frank FM. Tune in, whatever. I actually put in my 2 weeks there. Well, still tune in. They
for the
they
next
help me
2
out.
weeks. For the next 2 weeks,
Yeah.
tune in, folks.
Yeah. And then
The next 2 weeks.
when I'm out of there, never listen again. Just kidding. They're wonderful people. They really are.
I can confirm. Let's see. I'm putting this in. Messing with the ticker right now, but the second round here going by pretty swiftly, I'll say. I do want to make a point on, man, we just look goofy right now. I mean, the Griffin. What do you have a hat to add to this? And it better not be the clown mask. All right, don't add the clown mask.
It's
to
right
this.
here.
Nope.
Just kidding.
Nope.
I'm gonna go put this away. Actually,
You gotta find. Why did I just get a breaking Cooper Flag message?
What?
What happened?
Okay, breaking. Cooper Flag and the Mavericks will take on Bronny James and the Lakers on July 10th to open up the Las Vegas Summer League.
Oh,
Wow. That's pretty good scheduling.
What hats do I have? What's like a silly hat I have?
they're really marketing the 55th pick in last year's draft versus the number 1 pick in this year's draft. Is that what
That's
the
how it
selling
works.
point is? Wow.
That's how it works. I mean,
I got you guys.
what even is that? Paul? What is that?
It's a Sea Dogs hat. It's a Field of Dreams hat from last year.
That's pretty sweet.
Field
Yeah.
of Dreams. I didn't know. Do you guys have cornfields up there in Maine? I don't feel like you.
They actually they have a whatchamacallit. They put some corn in center field.
What does this even mean? What does this mean?
What's
What's good?
good?
Oh, And the second
What do you?
the second round's good right now.
Well,
Oh.
Everything.
You guys want a quick hat tour?
The second pick in the draft is,
Shoot, where's my? Did I miss it? No.
oh, Seamus,
Who
you're
just-
getting some flowers. But the Washington pick is playing. If
Yeah.
Yeah.
Instagram.
Yeah.
Let's see.
NBA
I
draft
see.
presented by State Farm. This pick is actually on its way to the New Orleans Pelicans. Let's send it back to Deputy Commissioner Mark Tatum.
With the 40th pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the Washington Wizards select Micah Peavy from Georgetown University.
And this pick is this pick?
I think
I
it's
think
going
this-
to the Pelicans.
Yeah.
Yes. I was gonna. This is just the theme of the night, by the way. It's just, where's this pick going? What's happening? I don't understand. Just moving around picks everywhere. I do want to address that.
Like,
comment,
I don't
though.
know why they're
love.
languaging it as proposed trade, too. Like, the next pick is
No, what
yeah.
I just can't understand is why they cannot, like, okay, when the picks come up, right? They're putting on different hats and it's different logos and like, oh, we can't change it. But you can change it on Sports Center later on in the night. It's okay to present it on ESPN as, oh, the Timberwolves pick or whoever's pick, right? But on the actual draft broadcast, like, nope, we can't do that. Like, no, it's not official. Therefore, we can't change the graphics and the hat and everything. That makes no sense to me. So from like, it just, we need lawyers on this. We need it to change. It's ridiculous. It's
making our jobs a lot
it's a
more.
topic every single season, and it does make the job of covering the second round just complete.
Even
I
the
mean,
first round, it still gets screwy.
Like, yes, like everybody, like, again, I got a million texts about Malawatch last night going to the Rockets, and then the next text was always, oh wait,
Oh,
never mind.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. But
So the next pick is going to the Suns.
Micah Peavy out of Georgetown. Let's see. So who did the Spurs pick at 38 again?
Cam Jones.
Cam Jones. Okay, I was like, I know it was somebody we liked. We went in on him. But the second round we are 1/3 of the way through, folks, already. And I want to mention this. Well, actually, I'm going to go on this point after I get this ticker up here because that's important. So Micah Peavy to the New Orleans Pelicans. I got to say, the Pelicans draft, not too fond of it. And I just, it's funny because every single time a transactional window comes up with an organization, like to show, like say the draft, free agency, the trade deadline, just the general offseason where we're at right now, it's hilarious how many times incompetent organizations show their incompetency. And the draft last night, and even getting into tonight, but really more so last night, just the incompetency showing itself from certain teams who have always been known to shoot themselves in the foot. It's just again on brand, unfortunately.
Seamus, you like that?
Like what?
It's off topic. Keep going.
Well, we do have the next pick in, and I don't even know where this guy's from. I'm a little. So Micah Peavy went to. Where did he go? Where did he go to school? Where did this man go to school? I don't even remember. He went to Georgetown. He was alongside Thomas Sorber. That's right. So Micah Peavy goes 40 to the New Orleans Pelicans. And then now we have the number 41 pick. Is that one going to be announced on TV?
I believe so. It should be. Yeah. 1 minute.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're 1 minute away from that one. Good on that. We're waiting for that pick. We do know who it is right now, but it appears as if we're going to hear it live.
I believe we should be hearing that one live too.
So we'll be waiting for that. as it comes up here. Getting a couple things squared away. Gonna make a point here in a second. Updating that. Okay. Change hats here. Do the old switcheroo. Okay.
Well, I was gonna ask if you like the main Celtics hats.
They were nice. They were nice. I gotta say, I love the new main Celtics. It's not new, but it's new relative to the Red Claws, right? I love the main Celtics logo, right? That being said, I want to make a point right now. That's a serious point.
Well, Seamus, your point.
And it's on the second round of the draft. Okay. And it's not only the second round, but it's also partially the end of the first round. And it affects the entirety of the NBA draft. So the NIL system, all right, the mid tier of the draft has been severely weakened by the NIL system. Players who may take a chance at the draft are simply now incentivized to go back to college for more money than they'd make on an NBA contract being a second round player. And it's not even guaranteed as a second round player you're going to receive an NBA contract. These second round players, we've seen them before. The Celtics back in 2016. 2016, the Celtics were just, oh my goodness. I want to say, I'm trying to think of all the draft picks that year. It was Jaylen Brown, right? He was pick number 3. Then you had Gershon Yabusele at pick number 13. Or sorry, not 13, 16. So you had Jaylen Brown at 3, Gershon Yabusele at 16. Then you had Ante Zizic at 23. Okay, so there's 3 first-round picks for the Celtics right there. And then going into the second round, I believe the Celtics picked Ben Bentel, Abdel Nader, and there was another player in that equation. Abdel Nader, Ben Bentel, and was it maybe Demetrius Jackson? I think it was Demetrius Jackson out of Notre Dame.
Or was it Johan Belgeron?
That was 2021 or 2020. 2020 was Yamadar. I think 21 was Begaron. Those players are still overseas.
Yeah. One day they'll make it to the Celtics.
In the 2025 NBA draft, the Golden State Warriors select Kobe Brea from the University of Kentucky.
So the Suns get another shooting guard.
Yes, this pick is going to the Suns. Yes,
yep.
Kobe Brea out of Kentucky here. Kobe Brea played with Kentucky last season. Mark Pope eliminated by Tennessee. So you had Chaz Lanier go ahead of Kobe Brea. And see, this is where in college basketball, like Chaz Lanier, he was considered up here. Brea is probably, more so a little lower than him in terms of college basketball status. Yet in the NBA draft, they're taking 4 picks away from each other. So that's just shows you a little bit of the evaluation system there. But what point were we on before this? What not the NIL thing. What were we just talking about here? Franco, what were you just mentioning?
Was I mentioning something? No, I just was bringing up the Suns pick and them taking in another shooting guard. We're etching closer and closer. We are 4 picks away from the Celtics draft pick. A few players that are surprisingly still on the board. Maxime Reynaud and Tyrese Proctor leading that list right now, just looking at Jay Bila's best available. 2 guys that people could say the Celtics should be interested in, so it'll be interesting to see what happens with those players. But Utah, OKC, and Minnesota sit between the Celtics.
So yes, we're a couple picks away now. We're 5 picks away. We're going 46. All right. Yep. And you know what's unfortunate is it's not going to say Celtics.
He's going to put on, if they're in the building, they're putting on an Orlando Magic hat.
Rip for that. My goodness. Hey, 5 picks away.
King's pick is in.
But I do want to say this real quick. The NIL system has severely weakened the mid-tier of the draft. You think about players like LeBaron Philon and Boogie Fland from Arkansas and Alabama, right? Both of those guys went back to their schools, and you're thinking,
Ooh,
well, of course, both of those guys are going to make a lot more money at Arkansas and Alabama, and if they even were to transfer elsewhere, they're going to make a lot more money than in the second round in the NBA. And it's not even guaranteed they receive an NBA contract. You look back at the 2016 NBA draft, you have the Celtics, they pick 6 players in that NBA draft, and not every single player made the
all
roster
right,
the next season.
We have another trade
All-
twins.
And
As
all right,
part of the move to be
RIP
finalized,
to everyone.
the
But
Minnesota Timberwolves are trading to the Phoenix Suns the draft rights to Rasheer Fleming, the 31st pick.
well, we knew that.
With the 42nd pick in the 2025 NBA draft, the Sacramento Kings select Maxime Reynaud from Paris, France,
Damn.
and Stanford University.
I just now.
This is actually going to the Kings, correct?
yes,
Yes.
1000%.
Yeah, I really hope that the Celtics can somehow get their hands on Tyrese Proctor. I really hope so. He's the next best available. But do I think that will happen? No. And do we need him? No.
I'm not.
Who are you
I-
guys? Who's next on the board then for you guys?
Well, let's see here. Let me go pull it up. I like Amari Williams, folks. I'm an Amari Williams fan out of Kentucky. I'm a fan of his athleticism, his mobility. Definitely
I
some
agree.
questions.
I agree. I like him.
Definitely some questions when it comes to defending in space. But I think he has the athletic profile to do so. And then offensively, is he going to be, in my mind, able to expand his offensive game from just being a role guy and a lob threat guy? So Amari Williams, I like Amari Williams personally
I
in the
agree.
second round here, but I'm not gonna lie, he might be an undrafted guy. Amari Williams, he wasn't even on the draft. I was looking up Amari Williams at the beginning of the year, and he wasn't on anybody's radar for the NBA draft yet. Some mock drafts have him going in the second round. He is available. He's not on Jay Billis's top available players. So he might go undrafted, just saying, but I wouldn't mind an Amari Williams selection with either 46 or, let's see, we own 50. What do we own? 50. Let's see. We own 50, 57. Right. Fun fact about pick 57, folks. So the Celtics trade away pick number 32 for a 2026 second round pick, a 2027 second round pick, the 46th pick in tonight's draft, but also pick number 57, in which originally belonged to the Boston Celtics. So the Celtics traded they traded back for their pick, literally and figuratively, right? Or literally, I don't know how you say they traded back for their pick. They traded back for their pick back. That's how you'd say that, right? They traded back for their pick back. That 57th pick was in the hands of the Celtics, because if you think at the end of the second round, OKC, they're giving their pick to Phoenix, in which now is going to Golden State. Then you have Cleveland at 58, and then 57 is the Celtics pick, and the Knicks forfeited their 56th overall pick. So there's only 59 picks in this year's draft. So we'll only have 59 picks tonight. So we're almost, we're making our way here through the second round. And the second round, I think one of these players, we'll get a couple of these players who wind up being pretty good in the NBA, but the second round, the hit rate on the second round that's why I like the trade for the Celtics and getting future assets, and essentially 4 assets and 4 picks, 4 players for that 32nd pick, because the hit rate in the second round is a lot lower than people would think. The second round is almost a 1 of 30 hit rate every single year. Seriously, we have, on average, it's about 1 to 2 on a good year, 3 players from the second round really work out for a team long term. And we have some second round players who might work out for a short period of time, but when I'm talking about long term, can they make it to a second contract? Do teams actually want them? Do they have trade value? Do they have value within a rotation, right? The hit rate is extremely low every single season. And let's actually go back. Let's reminisce on some past draft results here. Okay,
What
so
can I say too? Like for Celtics fans, Anton Watson, for example, he's a guy who
Washington Wizards are now on the clock with pick number 43, and this has been an interesting last couple of weeks here, Bobby, for Washington.
Yeah, certainly. Let's look at.
Oh, I guess we're waiting a second. I thought.
yeah, we're waiting on that one. But okay, go ahead, Griffin.
Yeah, but like for example, for Celtics fans out there, Anton Watson last year, he's a guy got picked in the second round, and he's a guy who I think played one game with the Celtics, if that. Like one game, I think it was against.
I don't even think he played at all. I don't think he played at all.
He did. Yeah, he told me when I had my interview with him, he said he played against Toronto. It was, I think. But you look at that, and he was later on.
Just picked probably in 10 seconds for you.
Yeah, he was later on cut, and now is with the Knicks. But that's a guy right there who just kind of rotted in the G League. But here we go.
You have another trade to announce. As part of a deal to be finalized later, the San Antonio Spurs are trading to the Indiana Pacers the draft rights to Cam Jones, the 38th pick. With the 43rd pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the Washington Wizards select Jamir Watkins from Florida State University.
Jamir Watkins, somebody who was, this is a player that could have been in this range, could have been a lot lower on people's boards, but he goes here at pick number, what pick are we at? I don't even remember.
44.
44. So we're two picks away.
Dude, I'm starting to get like
Anton Watson.
I'm
Can I
starting to
just
get
say this?
heart palpitations because I just realized. Do you want to hear the first time I reached out to the Celtics Talk Weekly team about Rocco Zikarsky?
Was it 2023?
It was October 7th of 2024.
So basically the beginning of the season. Last year.
Yeah. My quote-unquote text was, I like how in text you can just write in something and we'll just bring up every single time you wrote that. But I said on 10/7/2024, I'm going to drop a name before the season starts, Rocco Zikarsky.
What's crazy is he survived, right? Like he survived to this point. So Washington, that was pick number 43.
Yep. Now the Thunder are on the board with absolutely no trade. No trade. So this is their
Second
their
round.
raw pick. Yes.
Yeah, but can I further say with Anton Watson though?
Well, I want to say with him too. Anton Watson, he didn't play a single game with the Celtics. Played 9 games with the Knicks.
Okay.
0 with the C's.
Okay, so then he was on the squad then for I think one of the games, but he didn't.
Well, he might have played in the preseason because we played the Raptors twice in the preseason.
Yeah, but he's a guy.
Correct about that, maybe, but definitely played in the preseason, but not the regular season.
He's like a guy where he didn't do a lot in college, and he's a guy who went to got drafted by the Celtics last year, and he's a guy who you could potentially try to develop and see if there's anything in the G League, but for him there wasn't. For the Boston Celtics, maybe there's a spot with him in the Knicks, but he's a guy too. I don't see him even being a rotational player even in the NBA. I hope he proves me wrong because I've talked to Anton a couple times and he's a very nice guy and very humble, and he's really close with Drew Timme too. Obviously you guys like Drew Timme? Well, he's good friends with him, so I don't know. Hopefully, I'm rooting for Anton, but I don't know what's in store for him. He's a guy who maybe his potential is overseas somewhere.
Well, also I want to mention too, most of these guys going into the second round right now are
Mark
going to
Tatum
be
almost missed
too.
his cue on the draft. So if you watch him get up to the draft board, he's hustling a little bit more for this pick because he was almost late for the music.
But I will say this: we're definitely right now. All these guys, most of them are going to be two-way players, so keep that in
Yes.
mind as well.
Oh, I don't know that. I don't know what that is. Oh,
A lot of these
Nor-
guys are going to be the ones,
Northwestern.
like you said, those Seamus two-way players. Oh, here we go. Oh,
I'd be shocked if you know this name, Seamus.
We have another trade to announce. As part of the deal to be finalized later, the Washington Wizards are trading to the New Orleans Pelicans the draft rights to Micah Peavy, the 40th pick. With the 44th pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the Oklahoma City Thunder select Brooks Barnhizer from Northwestern University.
Brooks Barnhizer.
Averaged 17 points, 9 rebounds.
He wasn't on your draft boards?
Nope, it was not. We're to the point where it's like, yep, the draft board is pretty much throw it out because everybody is. It's like, oh, here's a guy ranked. He's 20. First of all, he's 23 years old. I mean, he's a little old, right? Brooks Barnhizer.
I bet you Timberwolves go Proctor right here.
I bet they will too. If not, I feel like Celtics get him though.
26% 3-point
either
shooter.
Or they're gonna go with a wing. They could go with the Markovich kid.
Well, I think either Bulls get Proctor here or Celtics.
Well, no, this pick is going to the Timberwolves.
Oh, so T-Wolves.
So I think the Timberwolves are either going Proctor or Markovich.
Yeah.
So
if not, Proctor goes to the Celtics, I feel like. Potentially.
I'm just about. I'm so like if this happens, like I'm gonna feel like the best scout in the world.
What, Zakarsky or Proctor?
Zakarsky.
Or both.
Zakarsky. Proctor would be great because it's the best available, but Zakarsky would mean something to me personally.
That would be actually that'd be a crazy story. That really would be. So this pick is going to the Lakers here? Or is no.
Timberwolves.
What, Timberwolves?
Yeah.
What?
This pick is going to the Timberwolves.
The Bulls pick?
Yeah.
Yes.
What?
You're asking too many questions.
How did it make it there?
You're asking too many questions. They're gonna come hunting for you.
I swear that okay, what? Okay, wait. This is whose pick? The Timberwolves at 45?
All right. If you guys see it leak before me, don't even give me any reaction because
What? The 45th pick?
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't even give any reaction.
This is really going to Minnesota. I'm not being pranked right now.
I will. Yeah, no, it's going to Minnesota. I will say with this one, I really hope now. Like I'll be more upset about Johnny Broom than, I'm gonna be more upset if they get Proctor here rather than the Sixers getting Johnny Broom.
We're getting
Don't even.
We're getting this comment. So is this the Lakers pick or the Timberwolves pick?
Well, that's what I thought. I thought it was the Lakers pick because the Bulls traded it to the Lakers. Remember the Lakers are picking 50.
Trade to the Timberwolves.
The Lakers are what? Okay, wait. Okay, so the ESPN broadcast, do they have this wrong? Because the Lakers acquired pick 45 for pick 55 and a future second or whatever was involved in that deal. And so the Lakers moved up from 55 to 45, but now it says it still belongs to the Bulls and that it's going to the Minnesota Timberwolves. So I don't know what. So did the Lakers trade the... No, did the Lakers just... Okay, no, but Adu Thero. Remember we were like, oh, he's going to the Timberwolves? Okay, so the Lakers traded for Adu Thero, right? or for the pick that was eventually
Yep.
a do zero, in which was originally Brooklyn's pick. So that was Brooklyn. It went from Brooklyn to Phoenix to Minnesota to Los Angeles for a do zero. And now this pick is going to the Timberwolves via the Bulls, through the Lakers, and now with the Timberwolves. That's how we got here. Okay, see, it's you piece
All right.
together the puzzle in round 2, folks. You piece together the puzzle.
don't
Now, I'm
even-
just saying, we're doing this on an independent night. Imagine we were doing it all in night 1. Like we were doing the big 5-hour broadcast last night, and we did the whole first round, and now it's like, all right, figure out the second round, folks. It's like, yeah, good luck with that. Got to get ready for the Celtics pick here. This is,
Oh no.
oh my goodness. I think
No. No. Hold on. Wait, don't even. Oh my gosh, she's gone. All right, here we
he
go.
just removed himself from the stage.
We have another trade to announce. As part of a deal to be finalized later, the Golden State Warriors are trading to the Phoenix Suns the draft rights to Kobe Bryant, the 41st pick. With the 45th pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the Chicago Bulls select Rocco Zakarsky from Sunshine Coast, Australia, the NBA Global Academy in Australia, and Brisbane Bullets of the NBL.
Oh no. Can I say something? Can I give something to
Danny
Franco?
Wolf and Rocco Zakarsky?
Danny Wolf. Listen, Franco. I
Oh my goodness.
both of his guys right before the Celtics pick too. Ugh. Literally the pick before.
Wow. Dude, that was, I'm sorry. His reaction was just, it telegraphed that this pick was going to be Rocco
Yo,
Zakarsky all the way.
that wasn't a speed reaction though. I was expecting a speed reaction.
You know what? I will say this. You know what would be even worse is if the Celtics trade out of this pick, because then you know, oh, right. So, no, I'm saying if the Celtics trade out of this pick, you know, like, they maybe were interested in Zakarsky.
Well,
So
they don't go with Proctor here. I'm gonna be upset. I will be upset if they don't go with Proctor here.
they're going with some international dude, I bet.
I bet they will too. But
That's
really
my read on it.
fingers crossed. Come on, Franco. At least do it with me. Come on. We want Proctor here. Come on. Give us Proctor. This is where my Celtics fan will come out right here, right now. We want Proctor. Here we go.
I am so pissed.
It was the perfect time. Let's face it. It was the perfect time to write that out.
Don't play any more spoilers right now because I want to be hyped up for this. If it's Proctor, we might have a speed moment from me.
That just ruined my night. That just ruined my whole off season.
Franco, bro.
What?
All right. Let's get Proctor right here. Come on.
What if we don't even like hear the pick?
Oh,
That's
I'll
possible.
pick us in. Don't even say anything. No one say anything. No spoilers. Don't even give me a reaction. All right? This is raw reaction right now. Stop. You didn't see it. No! Stupid Celtics Talk Weekly group chat. You guys just ruined it for me.
Don't say it.
I'm not even going to say it, though. But no, they didn't even do it. They didn't even put the pick on it.
They Taco Belled them.
Hold on. Well, we're going to wait till they come back. We're going to wait till they come back. Though. Let's wait.
They Taco Belled him. They shouldn't have Taco Belled this man.
But
they should not have Taco Belled this man.
Let's wait till they come back, though.
Well, now they're on to the Milwaukee pick. They're not going to announce the pick.
All right, wait, hold on. I'll give it for Seamus then.
Just let. All right. So Griffin, you already know it. You know.
Should I give it out, or is it going to be?
Yeah. Give me a second though.
It's not going to come.
I know. I'm saying. I'm getting the sound though for Seamus.
Oh wait. Oh, he wants to do this whole shindig.
Yeah, it takes a second.
This is the 46th pick, correct?
Yep.
Yeah.
With the 46th pick in the 2025 NBA draft, the Boston Celtics select Amari Williams out of Kentucky.
Let's
So
go!
anybody who was on the broadcast 30 minutes ago was talking about Amari Williams, and now he's a Boston Celtic who may be a two-way guy, who knows, but very long, athletic guy. There's some questions on the offensive end of the floor. Again, can he expand his game? Can he expand his game out from just being a role guy, a lob threat guy? Defensively, I really like Amari Williams' upside, and he's somebody that you're going to be able to play in transition with. He's a good finisher, very athletic. Not a ton of verticality in him. It's not like he's jumping. He's not jumping through the roof out here, but the athleticism is certainly there within Amari Williams. And he is, in my mind, he's kind of this center forward hybrid type of player. He is a 7-foot player, but I feel as if he plays a little bit like a forward sometimes, and he can play at that forward position, maybe the 4 in a bigger,
Yeah.
too big lineup, right? So I love Amari Williams here, and I feel really bad right now because Franco, you went Danny Wolf and Rocco Zakarsky. They go right before the Celtics pick, and
Oh,
I'm
know
going,
what?
ooh,
I'm
Williams
happy
be
for
nice
you.
here, and
I'm happy for you. I'm happy
and right,
for
it's
you.
like I get my way and Franco doesn't, and I feel a little bad, but I'm telling you, Amari Williams, y'all are gonna like Amari Williams. Two guys,
This
the
was
two
just
guys in
the
which we
Nick
drafted,
Franco
both
draft.
defensive players in my mind, Amari Williams and Hugo Gonzalez, and we have another pick coming up in the future at pick number 57. So another player to add tonight. But Amari Williams, wow, this is a little bit of a wow moment for me. I'm sorry, like this is why I feel bad because Franco. It's like if it would have been Zakarsky, it's like the crowning moment for Franco. It's like wow, the Celtics actually picked Rocco Zakarsky after months of talking about him. And then for me, it's like I have a million texts about Amari Williams and talking about him on this broadcast and everything and now he's here at pick number 46.
And want to know what? If there was a second thing that I would have wanted to happen, it is Amari Williams. Obviously, just because of my investigative work and scouting that I put into Rocco Zakarsky, all my hard work just got thrown to the corner and thrown into the garbage. However, I
if you want
think
to watch
Amari
Bulls
Williams
games next year, like that might be, or Lakers games. He's on the Timberwolves. Sorry, I have no idea what he's on the Timberwolves.
Yep, he's on the Timberwolves. Phil Powski's on the Jazz. Who knows? Maybe Tyrese Proctor keeps on slipping. If he's slipping all the way down to wherever. Oh, good pick by the Bucks. But yeah, Amari Williams. That's probably a great. I would think he's a great fit for what the Celtics are looking for, an athletic big, and he could be obviously is going to start off with as a contributor in the summer league and in Maine, but he's a guy that can potentially earn himself some minutes halfway through the season when we start reaching the January through March
with the
time.
47th pick in the 2025 NBA draft, the Milwaukee Bucks select Bogoljub Markovic from Uzetse, Serbia, and Serbia's Mega Basket.
Good pick for them. But yeah, Amari Williams, I think is just. I think matching him with Keita or having him just be that fourth two-way player, a fourth center / two-way player, I think is a great spot for him and can see him being a contributor on this team within the next year or so.
Yeah, and I'll say this about Amari Williams too: his playmaking is something that stands out that could help him, expand a little bit of that offensive game. The only thing about his playmaking is, will he have enough offensive intangibles elsewhere to make that playmaking matter? That's always the question, right, within players. That's going to be his question as well. Is if that playmaking can come out in the NBA, and even with the Maine Celtics. I mean, Griffin, you're going to be seeing him live in Maine, I'm sure, a lot
Oh,
next
yeah.
season.
Well, we're gonna have to
And
get you with a better microphone and camera for Amari.
Don't diss
What?
my microphone and camera.
you got the little furry microphone.
No, I will definitely. The microphone is coming. I gotta make some talks about it for sure, like connections and everything. But the microphone will be coming. I will admit it's gonna be fun to sit down and talk with him in Maine. It's gonna be fun to watch him in Maine. This is a player who's I feel gonna get a lot of time, especially at the beginning of the season. But with a bridge year for the Boston Celtics, you never know how much time he will spend up with the Celtics, but definitely see him a lot in Maine, and that's going to be a lot of fun.
I
I'm
do
excited
gotta.
for Amari Williams. Wow.
I do gotta
Weetabix.
run to. I have a work event that started at 10. I was able to. I'm happy I got to stick around for that pick. Who knows? I could potentially be back in time for 57,
Oh.
15, 20 minutes away.
In the
What do we
2025
think?
NBA draft, the Memphis Grizzlies select Javon Small from West Virginia University.
Proctor's slipping. I'm just saying, Proctor's slipping.
Trade up.
He might,
Trade
he
up.
might not
We'll
even be
trade up
us. He might be undrafted.
Yeah.
He might. He might.
That.
Proctor's.
And the Celtics are really good about getting undrafted free agents. That's
We are.
like they usually get the best available, but I am going to try to run to my. I'm going to try to run to this event,
Wait,
get these speakers dropped off, and I might be. What do you think? How long do you think 7 picks takes?
they might go quick, but also I have bad news for you guys at number 49,
Proctor.
Cleveland.
All right. Well, that's all for now, folks. What's even the best available right now? Like, what is any?
It's right now we are at a crapshoot of whatever you like, straight up.
Ryan Nemhard, just because I know his brother.
Oh, Proctor. Dang.
Kobe Sanders, Alex Tuhey, another Australia guy. If I want to stick to my Australia guns. Will Richard out of Florida. Ryan Nemhard out of Gonzaga. Any more centers? Nope. Eric Dixon.
I let's see.
Do you even know anyone left on the board?
Well, trying to spell Markovich right now. Let's see.
He's playing for the Bucks right now.
Right. I was typing him in the ticker. He's from Serbia. So out of who could be maybe available here? Let's see. Who is even? Let's see. Let's scroll down the board. Let's see who we got. Almansa is a guy who fell in the boards, so might want to look out for him, right? Just saying. Eisen Almansa, guy who fell. Caleb Love. Caleb Love.
Yeah.
Ryan Nimhard, Andrew Nimhard's brother. Let's see. You've already mentioned Tuhey's fall, who's fallen. So, I mean, it's really at this point, it's like I'm not sold on anybody who's maybe potentially in the spot. Mark Sears, Grant Nelson from Alabama, Will Richard from Florida. This is really we're getting into a position right now where this is where the back half of the draft is really hampered by the NIL system, because a lot of players who could be at this point right now are now back in college making a salary on the NIL system, and the players who are coming to the NBA, they're potentially not getting the same economic opportunities in college. Therefore, their market isn't very good in college. So that just kind of tells you about what players are on the board at this point in time. So
Seamus,
yeah.
the Proctor is another what's it called, Taco Bell ad. So let's give you the music really quick.
Well, we already
Wait,
with the 49th pick in the 2025 NBA draft, the Cleveland Cavaliers select Tyrese Proctor out of Duke, guard. I don't
boo.
know what happened right there, Griffin, but
Yeah, why'd you kick me?
I didn't kick you. I think Franco leaving glitched out the StreamYard. But anyway,
All right,
we're
I'm
still live here for the second round so Tyrese Proctor to the Cavs at number 49 here. And we're on to number 50. Celtics 7 picks away. So very exciting moment. Amari Williams coming to the Boston Celtics. And I feel really bad. I do.
This is I know I feel terrible for Franco because it's not even like Wolf like went earlier in the draft or Rico. Is that how you say his name? Rocco. Yeah. Or like went earlier. It's the fact that it's the pick right before the Celtics. That makes it sting a little bit more too.
Yeah, it's not like it's, a couple picks before. It's boom right there. Let's see. So pick number 50 coming up here. And this pick is being made by the New York Knicks. The New York Knicks at number 50.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, tonight has just been a whirlwind of who's making what pick. I mean, what pick was it? Was it pick number 45? I was like, oh, you could watch Rocco Zakarsky in Chicago. Oh wait, no. LA. Oh wait, no. Minnesota. That's literally that was how the conversation went about it. It was boom, 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 boom.
Well,
But here we go. The Knicks finally making a draft pick after they haven't made a draft pick I keep saying all night, but it was last night. That was round 1. So we're on to round 2 here.
Well, Seamus, I'm gonna say for Amari Williams, I like your analyzation of him too. This is a good player for the Celtics, and I'm happy about this pick. And maybe they saw that, and getting the 46th pick in the draft, maybe they're like, all right, this is a guy we could kind of fall to later. And what a pick for them. I like this move. I really do. We're gonna have another one. When's our next pick at?
57. So
57. Okay.
probably 15 minutes from now, maybe, right? So I just want to say this though. I texted my friend this afternoon, right? And I said, Hanson Yang, just a disgusting pick at number 16 by the Portland Trailblazers. An absolutely disgusting pick. And then I proceeded to text, I have Amari Williams over Hanson Yang. So Hanson Yang, you have the Portland Trailblazers think he's a near lottery pick at number 16. Well, hey, Amari Williams. I had him over Hanson Yang. So just saying with that, I don't know if that says anything about Amari Williams or Hanson Yang, or if it just says more so about the draft evaluation process between myself, other people out there, and the Portland Trailblazers and other teams. Let's face it. But Amari Williams, wow, I'm pretty jacked over that pick, I gotta say. Like that is a pretty. That's wow. I'm a little like let's do it again, right? Ryan Nembhard. Can we get Ryan Nembhard? Can we do that? Almanza. Almanza seems like the more likely because you'd say, well, you drafted Stash without Mansa, but Ryan Nembhard, you could say two-way guy there. I like picking, Ryan Nembhard. I just feel as if now, first of all, he's 5 inches shorter than his brother Andrew Nembhard, which is a concern. That's the issue with Ryan Nembhard. Is Ryan Nembhard, if he was 6'3", 6'4", 6'5", Andrew Nembhard's 6'5", Ryan Nembhard's about 6 foot, 6'1". If he was up there with the height of Andrew Nembhard and a lot of other big guards in the league, or not even big guards, but bigger guards, right? Bigger than 6 foot, right? I think you'd be a better player than, or more highly regarded than a late second round, if not undrafted player, a late second round pick or undrafted player. That is
2025 NBA draft. The New York Knicks select Kobe Sanders from the University of Nevada.
How you
Kobe
feel about
Sanders. Well, he was a guy who is on the board at this point in time. So Kobe Sanders, let's see. Kobe Sanders out of so this actually, hold up. So we have a trade. New York is trading the number 50 pick to the Clippers. What? The Clippers moved up. What? I don't. What is this? What is what? The Clippers moved up from pick 51 to 50 to take Kobe Sanders.
Okay, so this
What?
is the next pick now.
So this pick will be the Clippers pick. So no, timeout. So pick number 50 will be the Clippers pick. Number 51 will be the Knicks pick. The Knicks, it just said on the broadcast, we're on the clock, but that will be the Clippers pick. So Kobe Sanders to the Knicks, and the Clippers, or sorry, Kobe Sanders to the Clippers. They move up one spot. And now the Knicks will be picking at the next pick in 51. What does that? Why? I don't understand. That makes Spike Lee. It makes no sense.
Yeah,
Moved back one pick. Look, the Knicks moved back one pick. The Clippers moved up one pick. What was the point of that? What you're saying? I just don't understand. So if you're the Clippers moving up one pick, you're going, oh well, we're moving up to take this guy who we're afraid is going to go to the Knicks, who we're trading with. I don't. What is that? Well, I don't. That's. I don't. I've never. I don't. Is there cash? Is cash considerations? Is that something that's going on? The Knicks sending out cash considerations to the Clippers. I don't know. There's two teams who don't seem to be. I will say they don't seem to be two teams hampered on cash. So I don't understand what that move was right there.
Yeah.
But
so
it is what it is.
Yep. Well, what would you say, Seamus, if you had to say what would be the steal of this second round? Do you think there's any big names that we should look out for from this second round? Do you think there's any guys that you could already, kind of pinpoint who you think are going to be studs on teams? Or do you think you were talking about it with NIL money, how kind of the picks that have been in this one are more so going to be leaned towards the G League and two-way players rather than making an impact in the NBA. However, do you see any guys that have really caught your eyes in this draft that you think could be role players eventually or have value on winning teams?
Well, number one, I mean, the Celtics picked one of them. I really like Amari Williams. I've liked Amari Williams for a good portion of the back half of the collegiate season into the NCAA tournament. I was always questioning, is he even the first time I watched him, I'm going, he seems like an NBA guy to me. But then I look at the draft boards and survey everything, and wasn't necessarily. He was somebody who moved up the draft boards as time went along, but originally he wasn't even listed as somebody who you'd consider to draft at all in the top 60 picks. Wasn't even on anybody. It wasn't even on the radar for that. Then he moved up boards. Actually, we saw him on mock drafts. We saw him on different boards. So I think Amari Williams was a good value pick there for the Celtics. I've been a fan of him personally. So just the Celtics picking him in general, I think that's going to be he might be a two-way guy, but that's going to be a nice developmental project in which the Celtics partake in. But other guys, I'm talking about the Celtics guy, and people are going to think, oh, well, the Celtics, you just, just so happens the Celtics pick my guy here, Amari Williams. But Adu Thero
with the 51st pick
and Cam Jones.
2025 NBA draft, the LA Clippers select Mohamed Diawara from Paris, France, and Francis Cholet Basket.
Well, can I add on to your point though, Seamus, or do you want to cover him really quick?
No, you can go ahead.
Well, just talking about with Williams though. Sorry, just going back on him though. I really think, and you and Franco mentioned this earlier, but I didn't really have a chance to kind of go back on it. Maine is very good at development. They create a lot of good players, and I feel like this year with the new coach over there in Maine now. I feel like we're gonna see a
Bill
lot.
Pressey.
Yeah, Phil. Wait, what? Yeah, Phil Pressey.
Bill Pressey.
Yep, Phil Pressey.
Got to get an interview this year.
Gotta get an interview with Phil Pressey. Totally. But Phil Pressey, I feel like last year, the main Celtics head coach, not a lot of shade towards him, but he wasn't the best. And now that in Phil Pressey, he's a guy who has played with the Celtics, knows a lot about basketball, and he's a guy who could really stick out as someone who could potentially have a career in the NBA as coaching too. That's where Joe Mazzulla started. But I'm getting off topic, but the development in Maine is so good, and I'm excited to see Williams there. I feel like I'm interested to see how the roster kind of looks this year with the Maine Celtics and how they're going to kind of throw him in, if he's going to be a starter or if he's going to come off the bench. I'm interested to see what can happen with Williams because new coach, but it's going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. But you were talking about who you think could really stick out and have a role on teams before that pick. You said it quick, but do you want to kind of brush up a little more on that?
So we also, is the next pick even going to be, first of all, is the next pick going to be announced on, do you see the?
It might
I
be.
don't.
But it's this pick is in, and it's going to go to the Warriors, it looks like.
Yes, and this pick is coming from the Suns, so.
Yep, the Suns to the Warriors. And as of right now, I have an add-on, but we'll see if it ends up doing that. We'll see. But Seamus,
Wait, hold up. So, first of all, the picks are coming in like crazy right now. We have like the next 2 picks in which we're not even. We see the next 2 picks are both in. So, yeah, a lot of craziness right now here in the second round. Trying to get everything situated down below.
Oh, Phoenix selection is in. Seamus, I will give you the music. Here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Wait.
Let me know when you're ready.
Wait. So.
Here, I could do it. Want me to give it?
Well, this is. I mean, yeah, you go ahead and do this. This is
I don't know his last name.
The Warriors.
With the 52nd pick in the NBA draft, the Warriors are getting Alex Tuhey, or however you say his name.
Wow, Griffin.
Alex
Tuhey. You got to say it with confidence. Alex Tuhey. Got to say it with confidence. Right?
All right, here. Right? With the 52nd pick in the NBA draft, the Golden State Warriors are getting Alex Tuhey.
You got to go select.
Yeah, you're right. The next pick is in too. Wow, they're just coming at us. They're trying to get this done. But this is where the draft kind of speeds up. At this point where there's not many left.
I can't even keep up with the ticker right now. That's how fast we're going here.
Yeah, but let's see if we could have Tatum announce this one for us. But the pick is in, the 53rd pick. But let's see if we can get it on the TV. So I think for the Celtics, though, again, I'm going to pull up this one, Ryan Nembhard. I look. I'm very high on Andrew Nembhard, so I would like the Celtics to kind of go after there. I feel like there's some good basketball talent in that family. You said not as tall, which, all right, height is a key, but you have guys out there like Peyton Pritchard who could give you production too. So I really hope that's the move for the Celtics. A couple moves away, but it looks like we should have it on the TV because they're talking right now for the 53rd pick. But I'm going to say this, definitely a lot slower night with the second round, but there's been some good moves. I want to talk about Proctor really quick because that was a guy I was high on. I don't know what his ceiling is. He might be a guy that really develops in the G League at first. He's a guy that I don't see him getting a lot of NBA time, especially with the Cavs so early. He's a guy who I feel like is going to be on a two-way contract, going to get a lot of minutes with the Charge, and then maybe work his way up. But I potentially see him maybe being a option off the bench someday in the NBA. But his future is very uncertain too with Proctor. So that's definitely going to be a name to look at. But what about you, Seamus? What's your thing on Proctor? Obviously, that was a couple picks ago, but we didn't really talk about that a lot as well.
Well, Tyrese Proctor, he's one of those players in which we talked about earlier, where it's like, well, we've had the stigma of the oh, here we go.
With the 53rd pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the Utah Jazz select John Tonje from the University of Wisconsin.
See, I wouldn't have done well with that last name, John Tonje.
You just said it. And Tonje.
Well, I had to hear it first. See, I feel like I could totally
Tonje.
Yeah. Can I say the benefit? You know, this is kind of, and I want to give some love to some players too, because obviously, you know, I'm a big Maine Celtics guy. So this is my thing too. A lot of the guys that go undrafted can be great players to look out for. I'm gonna
say Dort. I wanted the Celtics to draft Lou Dort in the first round in 2019, and he went undrafted.
Well,
and then the Thunder signed him, which I'm glad the Thunder signed him and not some team like the Sixers or the Raptors or the Lakers or any team like that, right? Or like you don't want the rival, right? Which the other night I found out the Raptors are apparently no longer a rival anymore. I didn't know, but teams like that, right?
Yeah, but can I give some love to one guy that I saw a lot of last year? DJ Rodman. He's a guy.
Of course.
No, but listen, this is a guy who, if you saw him play, you would agree. His ability on the defensive side of the ball is just insane. His first game, I'm like looking at him. I'm like, oh, Rodman. I wonder if he's related to Dennis Rodman. I looked, he's Dennis Rodman's son. But there was possessions where, you know, the Maine Celtics defense was lazy, and he's the only guy on the other side of the court guarding four guys at once. You know, the speed, ability there. So it just shows like the guys that go undrafted could really, you know, be something. And that's where the G League really comes in clutch, because it makes those players noticed. So he's a guy that, and like, I don't know if Ron Harper Jr. was undrafted, but he's a guy with Maine Celtics last year who is, you know, waived from their summer roster, went to Maine, played there, showed how aggressive he was, and then the Pistons signed him to a 2-way contract. So there are names out there that can get noticed. Like, and I like one I say is DJ Rodman. I'm a big fan on him, and you know, that's one guy I really would hope one day. I don't know if he's coming back to Maine this year. I hope so, because I really hope the Celtics could end up getting him someday, because he's a guy I look, you know, he's a great guy on the defensive side of the ball. He's a guy, you know, with Hugo Gonzalez, you know, he probably reminds me of a DJ Rodman type player, really aggressive on defense. He's going to throw his body out there. But the difference with Rodman, I feel like, is a little bit faster. He's the type of guy that's going to, you know, you got the ball up at the top of the key, pass it, kick it out to the corner. Rodman's going to go attack right there too. He's fast, agile like that. But today isn't about DJ Rodman, though. I just had to give him some love.
No, but that was a great take, though, because that's very important to discuss at this point in the draft. Is you're going to have two-way guys. You're going to have a lot of guys who, again, don't hit in time, but there will be the diamonds in the rough that eventually secure a two-way deal, eventually secure a standard deal, and then eventually secure a roster spot. We saw Sam Hauser as one of those guys, an undrafted free agent for the Celtics, turn into a $10 million player for the Celtics, who the Celtics haven't moved yet this summer. And he was pinpointed as a name in which the Celtics could move, yet they haven't moved him yet this summer. He's still valuable to the team, 40% three-point shooter. And furthermore, and that's the undrafted category, can be late in the second round as well. I mean, we've seen a lot of I shouldn't say we've seen a lot, but we've seen before late second round guys, or just second round guys in general, be players in which you can mold in time to become rotational players.
Well,
and it's ever more so important in today's NBA with the second apron implementations and the new CBA and everything we've talked about with the Celtics over the past a couple days since the Porzingis and Holiday moves.
Well, I think another guy on our roster too that we're thinking about is a two-way guy, Drew Peterson. I'm pretty sure he went undrafted. And he's a guy who I don't know what the ceiling is with the Celtics, but he's a guy that I think has some NBA potential, potentially, you know, maybe on the lower end of the bench. But he's a guy, as we're getting ready for the 54th pick in the draft by the Pacers. But yeah, he's a guy too that could, you know, I don't know his ceiling with Boston, but he's a guy on the kind of the lower end of the bench that could give you something. But no, you're right, Seamus. It's those guys that today, you know, a lot of these guys will mean nothing in the NBA. In the second round, a lot of these guys are not going to be anything. They're going to be two-way players that sit in the G League for a while and then potentially go overseas, or there could be guys that stand out, and then there's going to be guys that go undrafted that become a good role in the NBA and have a good role in the NBA. And it could very much be so in this year and this the players in this pool, or it could very much so be not at all. Like a lot of these guys could just not stick out, you know. But they did not do the Pacers pick. So if you wanted to do it for us, Seamus, do you have that up?
I do.
I'll give you the music.
With the 54th pick in the 2025 NBA draft, the Indiana Pacers select Talon Peter out of Liberty.
All right, so the Lakers pick is going to the Bulls, it looks like, the 55th pick. And I'm saying this, Seamus.
Yes.
All right, so you're a lot better than me at breaking news and everything because you have the very bulky voice. So I'm going to give you that title. But yeah, I will say from me broadcasting at my school, though, I have a very good home run voice. I do have to say that.
Well, that one, oh man, should we break that out?
What?
Oh my goodness. Can that be you know what? I'm going to go find this clip and we'll show it on the broadcast. It was the Aaron Gordon game winner. All right. The Aaron Gordon game winner.
Well,
That was live on the broadcast when we were live after the Celtics lost game 1 to the Knicks. So we had a lot of terrible post games in that Knicks series. Game 1, game 2, game 4. It was all game 6. I mean, game 6 was at that point we're like, okay, we've been devastated already. We understand. But those first 3 were a little rough.
Well, I'm a guy with my broadcasting. I was like just commentating. I was like, you know, the guy who like adds points for basketball. I think this year I'll get a bigger role, but with baseball, I did it all by myself. So the home run, I was like, oh, that's like, you got it. I'll try to put it on a broadcast sometime and show you guys it. But do we have this up? The pick is in for the Lakers. Well, not the Lakers, the Bulls, technically, because the 55th pick was traded to them. So after that, you have the 56th pick to the Grizzlies, and then the 57th that says Orlando, but is going to go to the Boston Celtics. So let's hope. So who do you got left right now, Seamus? Who do you want? You know, 2 more picks till Celtics. Lakers selection. So you're going to have to give this for us again. Whoa, I am not trying that name. So Seamus, if you
wait, I don't even know hold up. I don't even know the pick yet here.
Oh,
let's see. Can we?
Whoa, have fun with that one.
My notifications are not loading here on my end, so
let me send you a screenshot of it. Here, I'll send you a screenshot.
I don't see a pick yet here for the Lakers.
I'll send you a screenshot of it. It's the Bulls pick. All right. And then tell me when you're ready for the music.
Well, you're like, I don't know if you're not scaring me with the name right now, but why am I guessing who this is? I'm going to guess who it is here. Let's see. Oh, come on.
No, it's way to the Chicago Bulls.
Oh, I just missed the name. All right, you ready? 3,
all right.
2, 1.
With the 55th pick in the 2025 NBA draft, the Chicago Bulls select Lachlan Ulbrich out of Australia.
Good job with the name.
Yes,
I'll give
I'm
you
not even
credit.
sure that's how you say it, but
Yeah, let's
say it
hear
with
it.
confidence. Anybody will believe it.
Who the Indiana Pacers just drafted. Wasn't in my
Let's
top
see if
100.
let's see if they do it.
Wasn't invited to Portsmouth. Wasn't invited to the G League Elite Camp. Wasn't
Okay.
invited to the NBA Combine.
It looks like they're
He
just
wasn't
talking-
invited to the party, folks. That's basically the.
No, it
gist of
doesn't look. It doesn't look like they're talking about La Shalon Oblitbrich or whatever you say. Yeah, whatever you want to call it.
Lachlan Ulbrich.
Lachlan Ulbrich, it looks like. But Grizzlies pick right here, then the Celtics. So who do you have on the table? Are you still going with Ryan Nimhard? Who are you going with?
I mean, I would. I mean, my thing with Ryan Nimhard is the height for sure. I'm not a small guard type of guy, but obviously, if Andrew Nimhard in the league already, we see brothers succeed in the league when they have league capabilities, and Andrew Nimhard has the personality to stay inside the NBA. And Ryan Nimhard, the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree, as the saying goes. So, from that standpoint, I would say Ryan Nimhard, because you look at the Holiday brothers, right? Justin Holiday's 6'7", Drew Holiday's 6'4", and then you have Aaron Holiday down there at 6 foot. Unfortunately for him, yet he still plays for the Houston Rockets. Still plays a role for the Houston Rockets, not necessarily solidified in the rotation, but comes in, plays a couple of minutes each night for them. Has been in the league for a couple of years. I'm going to say 6 years now. Aaron Holiday in the league, 6 years since 2019. Yeah. So Aaron Holiday stuck around despite being the little brother of Drew and Justin, and at 6 foot tall. But that family gene, that basketball gene, that athletic gene, the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. And not only on that front, but the personality front too, right? How you're raised and how you're raised to work within a line of production, the work ethic, right? The sacrifice one is willing to take in order to get better and produce for his team. So Ryan Nimhard, I'm just saying, personality wise and what we already know out of the Nimhard family when it comes to the NBA, and the fact too, we've seen other small guards like Aaron Holiday per se succeed in that
it's just
in that family, not family setting, I should say, coming from an NBA family.
But it's like genetics. It's like you can't rely completely on it. Like I'm gonna give another main Celtics name out here, like Kavion Pippen, who's Scottie Pippen's nephew. Like he's totally would be a better football player. Much love to him, but totally would be a better football player. But it's just, you could still count on them. Like they have that athletic gene in them, and like their family's gonna push them to succeed, to go in the same path as their father or mother, whatever sport you're talking about, if you want to go WNBA. So they're gonna really push them to succeed. So, you look at that, and why not give them the chance, So let's see what we got from him. Let's see what we got from Ryan Nimhard. Hopefully.
I'm so confused as to why we had a million picks just go like bam, bam, bam.
I know. And now
all of a sudden it's like it's moving at snail's pace. And the Warriors are trading up to pick number 56.
Oh, so Warriors are gonna have this Grizzlies pick. Oh, all right.
Wow.
Let's see if
they're trading up. They're trading up for it too.
I wonder who we're gonna have then. So the Warriors must have been a guy Celtics were looking at then.
So the Celtics, and we had the
Cavs.
We're still working through it right now,
but I think
this pick is actually in talks to being traded. We'll report back when we have more.
But the word is for the Warriors. So pick is in though. Hopefully we can hear it here. Yeah, no. Well, Seamus, I will say, so Ryan Nimhard on the board. Who else could you potentially want to see with this pick, though, for the Celtics in 57? Anyone else strike your eye right now, or kind of are you at a point where it's like, oh, give us the best? I wonder if he
Almansa to me, because he was a guy who kind of fell. So you're thinking, well, there's some upside there, and he could be a draft and stash guy. Dink Pate is another guy who fell. So you have those guys. Grant Nelson, Alabama, maybe him.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Quick question for you, Seamus, about Hugo Gonzalez. If you don't think the Celtics picked him there, where do you think he could have been picked in the draft?
Let's see. I think he would have gone in the 30s, most likely.
Okay.
Yeah. I think he would have gone in the 30s.
Draft because of a tampering penalty for the New York Knicks stemming from Jalen Brunson back in 2022. But this pick is on its way to the Golden State Warriors. Let's send it back to Deputy Commissioner Tatum.
We have another trade to announce. As part of a deal to be finalized later, the Phoenix Suns are trading to the Golden State Warriors the draft rights to Alex Tui, the 52nd pick. With the 56th pick in the 2025 NBA draft, the Memphis Grizzlies select Will Richard from the University of Florida.
All right, hold on.
Will Richard, part of the
It was a name too the Celtics could have considered, but he was already off the board.
I'm gonna put this up then, Seamus. I'm gonna put this up. Ryan, hold on, just saying. He's available.
All right.
He's available. So the countdown is true. The Celtics are almost.
Hopefully they show it on TV.
Hopefully, I hope so, because I want to be excited about it. But Will Richard,
you're not. You're not going to be.
No, but Will. Oh, you saw.
No, you're
it?
not. You're not. I'll tell you right now, you're not going to be.
Why? You see it?
Well, it's just not a. You're not. Who are you getting excited for?
I'm getting excited for. Oh. Nope.
For who? Oh. You getting excited for him? Yeah, right. Okay. Let's see if they show it on TV. That would be ideal here. Get the next one on TV. But here we go. Pick number 57 coming up for the Celtics, and then we will have 58, 59, and that will conclude the second round. So here we go. Wow.
Ryan. Wow. Wow is totally right, Seamus. Wow. How do you feel? Obviously, we'll give it a second, but
I'm not really. Hold up. I am not necessarily. Let's see here. Well, we don't even. We're not giving out the pick here on broadcast yet. We're gonna wait to see if it's gonna be a TV type of ordeal or not.
I am not. I don't like this though at all. I'll say that right now.
Well, it's because nobody knows this guy. Nobody knows this guy.
23.
Won't say anything yet, but I will say.
Okay, I'm not mad about it though.
He is okay.
I'm not mad about that.
Well,
but let's see if we could get it here. Here, I'll just
as a part of their journey. So now again, it is the Golden State Warriors 56, the Celtics at 57, and the Cleveland Cavaliers at 50.
So we'll give it a second. Oh, here we go.
Podium.
We have another trade to announce. As part of a deal to be finalized later, the Los Angeles Lakers are trading to the Chicago Bulls the draft rights to Lachlan Aldrich, the 55th pick. With the 57th pick in the 2025 NBA draft, the Orlando Magic select Max Shulga from Kyiv, Ukraine, and Virginia Commonwealth University.
All right, so Max Shulga out of VCU. now with the Boston Celtics. So that pick right there, Mark Tatum, said the Orlando Magic. However, it belongs to the Boston Celtics. Now, one thing I'll point out about Max Shulga is he's a three-point shooter. All right, he's a near 40% three-point shooter in the volume half of his college career. Started out at Utah State, transferred to VCU, and got that three-point percentage up amidst high volume. So that's the upside with Max Shulga. Also, if you look at some of his assist numbers as well, now he's not going to be a guy who necessarily creates for you at the next level, but can he be an interconnective piece? Right? That's what I wonder with a lot of guys who are going in the second round or even late first round or even mid first round. Can you be that interconnective piece? So Max Shulga to the Boston Celtics. A lot of people are going to be looking up Max Shulga film and
Yeah.
going through his numbers and all that because this is kind of an unknown pick, right? It's not necessarily a guy people are talking about, right? Well, this guy from VCU, but he's now Celtic at pick number 57. And
But
Griffin, you'll get to know you might get to interview him this season
I will
up in
definitely.
Maine there.
I will definitely get to interview him because this is a guy who won't be with the Celtics. I will say that. This is a guy who I don't see the ceiling very high for him. He's very unknown to me, as you said, Seamus. But we'll see. I mean, you have to admit, Derek White was kind of in his shoes, and look at the player that Derek White kind of became into. So you never know. You never know. But as of right now, I'm not a big fan of this pick for the Celtics, especially when Ryan Nembhard was on the board. Hopefully we see Ryan Nembhard get picked. There's a good chance he could go undrafted, but this was definitely a head scratcher for Brad Stevens for sure. But he knows. So we'll see.
Well, any player in the second round is going to be a head scratcher. We're not picking Cooper Flagg with pick number 57 here.
No, totally. But it's not like our what was it? It wasn't like our 46th pick though with Amari Williams. I'm high on that one. I do like that pick. I think that's the best pick we've had this whole draft. I'm not gonna lie. I would put him over Hugo. What about you?
Who?
Amari Williams.
I wouldn't. I mean, I'm an Amari Williams fan, but Hugo Gonzalez, I think there's a little more room for him to work in the NBA than Amari Williams per se, right? Because Amari Williams, he's a good passer, all right. Like that, everybody's gonna look, oh, he's a good passer, but really, it's about for him is he going to be at the next level quick enough in open space in defense to defend smaller players, quicker players, more physical, or I shouldn't say physical, but quicker forwards, right? And then on the offensive end, can he be somebody who expands out his offensive game? Because he's a good passer, he's a good finisher, good transition player, but can he expand out his offensive game and can he, score the ball a little bit? That's the big question with Amari Williams because he's a good passer. The thing I worry about is passing. The only thing is he's passing out of situations in college where he can potentially score one-on-one. He's demanding attention, right? He's demanding attention on himself in certain height mismatches and whatnot in college, right? And physical mismatches. In the NBA, that's not going to be there as often. And it's not in the NBA, he's not going to be as much of a scoring threat. So therefore, and it's not like he was a big scoring threat in college, but don't get me wrong. It's not like he was a big scoring threat in college, but in order to really see that playmaking come out, we're going to need to see him to be able to put the ball on the floor a little bit and create a little bit more for himself in order for that passing to really give itself out or present itself throughout his NBA career. So that's where I'm at with Amari Williams. I like the pick because defensively, I think there's a lot of upside on that end of the floor because he's very athletic, very long, good shot blocker. He's a little questionable in open space, but I can see him turning into somebody. He is a big to me, and he's like this hybrid big forward. Like I think you can play him in double big lineups.
In the 2025 NBA Draft, the Cleveland Cavaliers select Saliu Niang from Dakar, Senegal, and Italy's Trento.
For Niang for a second
And
there.
he's there.
Okay.
He's right now.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Good for him.
So he was probably scared that he was even going to get picked right there.
Salu, let's see. Putting this in the ticker. Niang.
So
It is
Seamus,
spelled like Niang, like Georges Niang.
Seamus, you seem a little down though after the Celtics pick. What are you?
I'm not down right now. No.
No,
I'm not down about the Celtics pick. Why we're picking 57th overall.
So it's not like, but I would have really preferred.
Well, I will say about Shulga is he's definitely taller than Ryan Nembhard. He's 6'4", so there's that upside as a guard right there. But I think if you look at him just up front, he is somebody. Actually, I'm looking at it on Twitter. He played at Utah State with Keita, so maybe some. I'm just saying, Danny Ainge, Austin Ainge out in Utah, the Utah connections there, Utah State with Keita and now Max Shulga. But he's also a player too who could be a pretty good rebounder for his size. But to me, I definitely see him as a player who's going to be in Maine a lot this season. He's going to be in Maine a lot, but does fit the mold of him. I mean, he's shot 40% from three, essentially, is his VCU half of his college career. So that's certainly something that sticks out immediately from the Max Shulga pick. I mean, we drafted a player who can hit an outside shot. And that's, I will say, the second round lends itself to a lot of players who fall because they can't hit the outside shot. So that's not necessarily going to be a problem with Max Shulga.
You know, I don't mind this pick though. I really don't. Now that I feel like he's a guy that could give you, he'd give you something. He's going to be a guy definitely to look at in Maine for sure, and we'll definitely have an interview with him. But I'm not mad about it. You know that the stats are there. I mean, the stats are there. You look at it, but will that translate to professional? Who knows?
I have news.
What's the news?
The Portland Trailblazers are signing Caleb Love to a two-way contract. So Caleb Love, college star in North Carolina. St. Louis guy here. He's a St. Louis guy, right? We went to CBC. Caleb Love, over across the river.
Before I announce today's final pick, I want to congratulate all these young men and their families. Thank you to ESPN for broadcasting the second round of the draft, and to our partners around the world for your continued support. And thank you to all of you, the NBA fans watching today. We look forward to the start of NBA Summer League in Las Vegas on July 10th.
Coming up.
With the 59th pick in the 2025 NBA Draft, the Houston Rockets select Jemai Meshack from the University of Tennessee.
So Ryan,
good night, everyone.
Ooh, Meshack gets picked here.
Yeah, so Ryan
Meshack has a lot of defensive upside, I'll say, for his size. He got a lot of defensive upside and can hit an outside shot every now and then. And I think he's a pretty even-keeled player, too, in my opinion, out of Tennessee there. And Jemai Meshack, number 59 there. Last pick of the 2025 NBA Draft. So we have made it through the entirety of the 2025 NBA Draft, officially concluded with the 59th overall pick, the 60th pick in the draft. Technically, the New York Knicks held the 56th overall pick. However, they forfeited their pick because of tampering violations years ago. And so, therefore, the draft ends at pick number 59. Yeah. And it winds up being Meshack there at 59. So the draft officially concluded for us here. Any thoughts, Griffin, at the end of this draft?
Well,
also, Caleb Love, too. Caleb Love to the Blazers. North Carolina, Arizona Star, St. Louis guy. So shout out Caleb Love there. But one of the biggest shots in North Carolina history. All right, knocking Duke right out of the Final Four during Coach K's last game. So
Well,
Caleb
my
Love
well
out
my
in Portland.
yeah. Well, my final thoughts about the NBA draft as it concludes is there's a couple guys that went undrafted that you're gonna see two ways like that right off rip, or you're gonna see them, signing with a G League team, like coming there. That's what happened with DJ Rodman. But I'm happy with Amari for the Celtics. Amari Williams. I like that pick that we had, there with 46, and I like Max. I'm gonna give it to him. I think he could prove he has something to prove in the G League for sure, and we're definitely gonna see that. So let's see what we can bring from them. But overall, the second night is definitely a lot less exciting. So the action was definitely yesterday. But it's always fun to see new faces in the NBA and just being able to get some new players and everything, and it's going to be fun to watch. But Seamus, what are your final thoughts on that draft?
Well, I'm gonna just point this out. We have a lot of players signing two-way deals,
Right now?
and so not with the Celtics. I haven't
Okay.
heard any word on the Celtics, but on the Celtics front, I don't see anything in terms of two-way guys, undrafted, free agents, nothing like that. But we are in that zone right now. Okay, we're gonna get a lot of reports here of undrafted free agents dropping. So that's what we got going here after the second round. As the second round is officially concluded, folks. The second round is officially concluded. Wow, we have the entire NBA draft in the ticker right now. Wow, the entire NBA draft. Okay, so do we want to stay on here a little? Let's
I say like
let's
10
just wait.
minutes. for
Let's
some
wait. Let's wait to see if any.
news.
So Ron Harper's career earnings was $35 million. Dylan Harper will immediately make 56 up front by just getting drafted to the NBA.
Crazy. Shows you
Wow.
how much more money.
Yeah, how
You
much
think
more money's involved in the league nowadays? All the revenue.
you think
Justin Jessup. Never mind. Go ahead.
No, what were you saying? I had nothing.
It was about the Warriors sent the rights to Justinian Jessup in a top 50 protected 2032 second round pick to the Memphis Grizzlies to jump up 3 spots to grab Florida guard Will Richard. So Will Richard, a national champion, now going to the Golden State Warriors. But ooh, my goodness gracious. Okay. So almost had the iPad flip off the table here over here. Okay,
No,
we're back.
You don't want that, Seamus.
So we're just waiting to see any news to come out, but general thoughts from the draft. I mean, I feel like probably go over this more in lives in the near future because
And
let's face
draft
it, I mean, man, we have been at it. We have over 7 hours of draft coverage from the 2025 NBA draft. 7 hours. Right now we're at 7.5, but we're waiting to see if any more news comes out on the Celtics front of maybe the Celtics signing an undrafted player. We don't know. I'll say this though, they did draft 2 players in the second round, Amari Williams and Max Shulga. So those might be two-way players right there, right next to Miles Norris. So you might not see any more signings for the Celtics right here in this spot. Just saying. But we'll wait a couple minutes to see if anything comes through here on the Celtics front of things.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I don't think. Yeah, I'd say just a couple more minutes because you always have those people after, but I don't know. There could be some guys who could get those two-way contracts immediately, but probably, again, like you said, probably not from the Celtics.
Wow.
What's the wow about, Seamus?
No wow. Just
No wow.
I'm wowing the fact the draft is over. Like we're finally past the draft. Felt like we were past the draft last night, but we knew, the Celtics 32, this 32nd overall pick was coming up, and and everything on that front. So, my goodness. Okay.
It's crazy that it's finally over. We've had definitely a few hectic days, but I think it's safe to say from Celtics fans too that you gotta look at it. Brown and White are still on the roster, which is some relieving news for sure.
Certainly. Let's see. I'm just looking at the news front here from the Celtics, and it just doesn't seem like we have anything coming through here. Trickle. We've got a Milwaukee Bucks. Okay, Mark Sears out of Alabama has agreed to a 2-way contract with the Milwaukee Bucks. So you have Mark Sears out of Alabama, college star there. Now going to Milwaukee. So there you go.
There you go, guys.
We're just waiting here. But we have so much draft content the last couple of days. It's been amazing to cover this entire event here because I gotta say it's every single. I mean, we're gonna have
the Cooper flag one is gonna be big too.
No, but I was gonna say, okay, so what we did the last 2 days, right? We'll always be able to look back at and say, "Oh, I thought this about that player, and here was my reaction for that pick." And it's going to be something fun that we can look at in time, at the very least, that we did, and I'm just honored to actually cover the NBA draft. It's covered it in the past to great lengths. The two most notable ones for me was 2019 and 2020, covering it for Celtics every day. But now for Celtics Talk Weekly, here covering the NBA draft in 2025. The last couple drafts haven't really been too involved in from the standpoint of the Celtics. They didn't have the one first round pick was last year in the last 3 years, and it was Baylor Shireman at number 30. So not too much on the Celtics front. We've never had crazy coverage like this before, and I gotta say, it's just an absolute blessing to be able to cover the NBA draft like this for Celtics Talk Weekly and have so much film out there that we're going to be able to look at later on in time and say, oh, this is exactly what we were doing during this pick, right? Like I always think, well, I'm thinking right now, right? I always think about the one pick is Nikola Jokic, right? He's the Taco Bell commercial. That's the big one, right? I was thinking yesterday we were showing a tweet up on the board when Jace Richardson came up for the Orlando Magic, when the Orlando Magic selected Jace Richardson, and just moments like that. It's like we'll have our own little Taco Bell moments on here. We were showing a tweet during Jace Richardson's draft, right? The moment he was drafted to the Magic. So things like that, it'll always be fun to look back at. And our reaction to the Hugo Gonzalez pick yesterday, which wound up being the biggest pick for the Celtics in this draft, as they do not pick at number 32. They trade back and they trade for picks 46 and 57, in which they pick Amari Williams and Max Shulga. The Celtics, of course, pick Hugo Gonzalez at 28. But the Hugo Gonzalez reaction, just absolutely priceless last night. I mean, I'm sorry. I feel like I haven't laughed that hard in such a, I don't know. I laugh all the time, but oh my goodness, I was falling down on the floor over the reaction yesterday. That something, the fact we have that on film is just always going to be a highlight within this program. The moment Hugo Gonzalez was picked, everybody was.
I turned the corner on Hugo Gonzalez, though. I will say, for everyone at Celtics Talk Weekly, I do like him now. I am all for Hugo Gonzalez. But Seamus, I have to say, you were taunting me about my little speech at the end of the year, for the Celtics and episode 50. But
I was like, what? Taunting you?
I'm just playing. No, beautiful speech though, Seamus. It's so right. And I wanted to add on to that, just the fact that we could look back at this, especially like with the higher picks too, like Cooper Flag, looking back at that and see where he becomes in the NBA. That's the big one for me because I'm from Maine, obviously. But looking back at that, where we're like Justin's like, what? To Hugo, and Rob's like all freaked out, and I'm like, what? Like all you could look back at that and either we're gonna be like, all right, W reactions, or come on, like look where he is now. So it's definitely a lot of fun to actually look in time and kind of look back at it. But Seamus, how do we have any more news, or where are we going with this?
I don't think we have any more news out there. I think
Gotcha.
that's going to, and the one piece of news we do have is the Celtics Magic trade is official. So that's good. So the Celtics Magic trade, it would have been nice to be official a couple of, a couple of hours ago. Well, I shouldn't say hours ago, but when it was made, because I guess it was a couple hours ago. It was 2.5 hours ago. Would have been nice to be official then. So we heard the Celtics actually pick where they were picking, but hey, it's official after the draft now. However, that is going to do it here for us on CTW Live for the 2025 NBA draft. We had the full first round coverage yesterday, the full second round coverage today. The second round a little more, it was a little slow at times, a little quick in other times, and mostly we're looking up players and we're sitting here and trying to digest where these players, what type of player they're actually going to turn into, and mostly two-way slots, right? The beginning of the second round, we're thinking, maybe these guys can play in a rotation, but late second round, a lot of two-way guys, and a lot of these guys will eventually, they'll make their way somewhere, whether it's in the G League, whether it's actually in the NBA, or even overseas. Everybody has different career paths, but these second round guys, I'm sure we announced tonight a diamond in the rough somewhere, and we'll look back and go, this is what we were doing during that pick in the second round. So much love to everybody out there who joined us who joined alongside of us here for the NBA draft coverage here in 2025. We will be back next year for 2026 as well, the NBA draft coverage. So and as well as the entire Celtics season and the rest of the offseason and summer league and pretty well everything before the next NBA draft, 365 days away. However, that is going to do it here for us tonight on this broadcast on CTW Live. The draft officially concluding. And let's just round up real quick the Celtics picks. So number 28, Hugo Gonzalez over from Real Madrid, right? Number 46, Amari Williams out of Kentucky. And of course, at the end of the night, number 57, somebody that people may not know all that much, right? Even Amari Williams, maybe they don't really know Amari Williams. Or Hugo Gonzalez, how about 3 players people didn't really know? But Max Shulga out of VCU. And Griffin, next year, I'm looking, you know what I'm looking for next year, Griffin? I need a Max Shulga interview. I need an Amari. I need that Amari Williams interview too. And Hugo Gonzalez. We're going to need all 3 interviews. And I believe, I I know you believe in yourself, but I believe in you to get those interviews next year. All 3 of them. We're going to be like the Infinity Stones. All right.
Yeah. For who's watching too, leave some comments down below on what I should ask them.
Yes. And that reminds me too. We have to put that out on social media and anywhere to get more questions out there. But if anybody has questions, send them into Griffin, because all these draft picks, they're going to be up in Maine. Griffin's going to be out there interviewing them outside, and it's going to be a lot of fun, right? You're going to get a lot of great information. And just one more check on the news front. Doesn't look like does it? Doesn't look like we have anything on the news front. So we're just Atlanta Hawks. I'm sure the minute we leave the broadcast, that'll be when the Celtics sign somebody, but I don't anticipate it right now because they drafted 2 players in the second round, and those are your two-way guys, and you have Miles Norris already. But anyway, that's going to do it here for us on CTW Live. Thank you all for joining our 2025 NBA draft coverage. We will have more coverage as the offseason comes to us, more free agency on the horizon, and we don't know how much the Celtics are actually going to be involved in that, but we have to cover it regardless. So a lot of the NBA was very crazy this week. Maybe some quietness over the next couple days. Who knows? The NBA is never quiet at this time of year. However, that is going to do it for us here on CTW Live. Thank you all for watching. I'm your host, Seamus Zarlingo, alongside of me, Griffin Aldrich, and as we always say, go Celtics.